Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Coffee with Jamie. And on this very special episode, we have Sue Heinz with us.
Yay!
So, without any further ado, I will get you over to Jamie.
Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing today? And welcome to Coffee with Jamie. And we've got our drinks right here. We're ready to go. But Sue did not want any more caffeine because she said, I'm okay. So that's it. Can everybody hear us okay? Can we get a yay? Yay. We're looking at comments. Yay. Awesome. Okay. Hi, Laura. Mary Flynn. It's always good to see you, my dear. Carol, Kay, Jane, Eileen, Jan, Ruth K. Good morning. See you soon, my dear Ruth, because we are getting ready to do a Judy Niemeyer. I'm going to do a Judy Niemeyer.
Can I come with?
Yes. Hello. Of course. And our dear Peggy and Lorraine and Jane and yep. Okay, awesome. So everybody's there. Fantastic. Hey, Wendy. So, okay.
So, Jamie.
Yes.
Since I was having issues at the beginning of the show, like it seems like I always do. So I just wanted to tell everybody we're having a really bad weather morning here. Everything looks good on our end so far today. But if for some reason the show goes down or something like that, we will continue the show. It'll be recorded, it'll be up later, but hopefully we're not going to have that issue. It's just for March, it's some pretty nasty weather today, bad wind and stuff. So that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Ritchie. Do we have any upcoming announcements? I have a few upcoming announcements before we get into this. So we've got our piece along that we're going to be finishing up here pretty soon. We'll probably have one of close to the last one, not quite the last one, of the One Block Wonder coming up towards the end of the week. As I'm looking at it right now, I've got some of my rows sewn together.
It is so cool.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And then, of course, we have the end of Ruth's quilt, because I have to have that done to go to Ruth's. And
how'd you do that?
I don't know. I know I shouldn't do that. I'm an old Baptist. So anyways, nonetheless, so those are finishing up our projects. And also, number one, let's get to the point here. We have my amazing and dear friend, Sue Heinz, and we're going to get to discussing how we met, which will also share a little bit about her personality, which is absolutely phenomenal. If you have never met Sue, you're missing out big time, and I say that honestly, humbly. I absolutely treasure her. And what we're going to do here is, obviously today is Coffee with Jamie Live, obviously education, obviously an interview. Going to get down and dirty with her a little bit.
Some drawings.
We're also going to be going to the quilting machine. We're going to do a show and tell. I also want to make sure to go through all the tools, because she has incredible tools that I absolutely love.
That's a lot for 2 hours.
Yes. So we're going to be doing that, but also she has been extremely generous, because I did beg and pulled the whole guilt thing, right? About,
He's very good at that.
You didn't show up the last time because you were sick, and all that stuff. So we actually have filmed probably about 4 or 5 more tutorials that we're going to be showing here on Patreon throughout the next.
What do you call it? The
few
month
months.
of?
It is the very merry month of Sue.
It will be all April.
Yes. So it'll be the very merry month of Sue.
I don't like being the 13th month. I don't know,
like
something
being
about that.
13th month.
Yeah. The month of, you're adding a month. Never mind.
Oh, okay. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Rabbit hole. So, which is our life right there. That's Sue and my thing on the phone. Hey, so when we get on the phone, she's amazing. So when I first met Sue, so I got to share this part. So I used to be an A1 quilting machine dealer. As many of you know, and love the machine, still love the machine. I think they're amazing. But as everything, we kind of go out and go into different machines throughout our progression of long term, if you're in this business more than 10 years, as you have done.
Oh, yeah.
She purchased a machine from me. She lives in Minnesota.
Minnesota.
And so that's how I met her. I went and delivered a machine. And back in the day, it wasn't like it is now. It was like totally homespun. How long ago was that?
We didn't have phones. We didn't have central heat.
No,
it was
inside
that long
restaurant,
ago.
there was outhouses, right? But nonetheless, poor Rich. Anyways.
There goes our North America.
There goes our North America. All right. So, but I remember.
I didn't know who you were, is what he's trying to say.
Well, that, but also I remember it was totally different. No cell phones. I mean, it was just. It was that way. That's how it was. And this was, how long ago was this?
14 years?
Yeah, so my point was
15?
14 years ago, when you were a machine dealer, we were all hobbyists as machine dealers. So it wasn't like now where it's very professional and polished for machine dealers for any brand of machines. And so what would happen is, of course, I would go somewhere to set up a machine, and I wouldn't do like I'm there for 2 hours, set up a machine and go, because I never liked that. I was always so freaked out when I set up machines. And I stayed, like 4 days? 4 days? I know you were like packing my suitcases, putting them in the car.
Well, I remember you stayed in our home.
Yep.
And for Minnesotans,
and that's what we did. Yeah.
We love you, but don't stay in our home. It's kind of this Minnesota nice, but to a point.
Yep.
So you were staying at our home, and my husband, I think, was on guard to protect my I don't know what.
Yep.
And we were having so much fun.
We had a blast.
We talk about music and literature and everything until the wee hours, and then go back at it. But I didn't know who he was, and if you look at this wonderful visage, I thought he was Joe Mechanic coming to set up my machine. So,
hey, lady.
So for 2 days,
oh my gosh,
long days, he was trying to convince me that he was Jamie Wallen, who I didn't even know the name Jamie Wallen.
I don't think I knew Jamie Wallen at that point, really. I mean, it was just entering into who Jamie Wallen was. And here's the thing. I remember, so I spent the first 2 days doing this. I'm setting up this machine. I'm getting ready. I want to do like 3 days of heavy training, because that's how I set up machines. I want to do heavy training so that when I leave, you're not freaked out.
And I'm saying, dude, go away.
Yeah.
Long armors,
work
alone.
Totally. And every other line from her, as I'm setting up, first of all, she's totally neurotic, let me say that. And so she's right there the whole time, like over my shoulder. And you know how when people are setting up machines and doing all that stuff. Anyways, so, and every other sentence was, I can use her name. Sharon Schomburg says, but Sharon Schomburg says. But Sharon Schomburg says.
All right, you need a little background here. Little background on me. You know the background on this guy. I had been working in a quilt shop for 10 years at that point. I knew nothing about the quilting industry other than the fabric that came into the shop. So I knew, the notions, the fabrics, I was all over that. Quilt shows, did they exist? I didn't know. And this Minnesota is rich with all sorts of big name artists that come out and teach beautifully from our state. So they represent us beautifully. My thought process was, you go to the quilt shop, you work, you come home, you make samples, repeat. So that was my limited world at the time, but I had come across Sharon Schomburg's videos, much the same that Jamie is doing for you now, which is wonderful. Right. That was my only link to free motion quilting at the time,
and she's amazing.
Devouring
she's incredible.
Her videos. So that's why everything came out with that name.
Jane, I learned to sew from Sharon Schomburg videos. So happy you're here. So
Jane, you understand that Sharon, it's either my way or the highway, kind of. And I devoured that, and she's so formulaic. I got it. And so here Jamie, poor Jamie, comes to my house, and so that's my setup.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm just saying, okay, so let's have our quilting education. So I set up my little whiteboard that I had back then, and we started, and then it was like, but you don't have to, and there were no rules.
Okay, I tried to teach you how to do feathers.
Yes. Yes.
The whiteboard came on the third day when you were so frustrated as a human being. The training was supposed to go 2.5 days, I think, and on the my husband gave up. He says, "Yeah, you're good." So he went off and did other things and left us alone. But on the second or the half day, you were supposed to take a 9-hour, 10-hour drive back. Right. So now I'm mother hen. What time you leaving? What time you leaving? Are you going to be okay? Are you? And he kept on kind of not being fast about packing up. Ready. Because all throughout that, he tried to show me his website, and I said, yeah, it was red and green, and it was doing this a little bit. It's like, yeah, I can't read it. Anything he tried to do to tell me he was who he is.
I'm here to support you. You have a brand new $20,000 machine in your studio, and you're freaked out already.
I was ready. Like, okay, just go so I can play. Just go. It's all set up. It's working. So he stayed the next day. He said, "Do you have a whiteboard? Yeah. Do you have an easel? Yeah. Okay, let's get out of this basement and go upstairs, and I'll see you tomorrow morning." Tomorrow morning? Yep, tomorrow morning. Okay, then I don't have to worry about you being on the road. On that day, he got me big time. He starts drawing, and in my head, bells are going off, explosions. I had never seen. I admire Sharon until the cows come home, but again, she's formulaic, and she would do only feathers from the bottom up, only, not bottom up and then back down. Poor Jamie was doing his flurry feather at the time. And I was thinking, poor guy, he's out there all over the country setting up these machines. How embarrassing for him. I should show him how to do feathers.
Right.
Duh. So he starts to draw. And if Sharon is black and white, I saw so many shades of beautiful color come out of his pen. So I'm sitting there like this, and I'm drawing, and he knows he's got me. And I said, "So, you teach?"
Yeah, that was fun. So that was our thing, and that was our foray. But there weren't many guys back there, and that was there weren't a lot of gray areas. Remember back there, those of you that are seasoned, back then there were just not gray areas. It was this way, and you could not, no, don't do that, and it better be, and all that stuff. And you know how I am.
Everywhere.
Quilt police everywhere.
And I was
like,
policing
I don't do policing. Yeah, but that was okay. So that was our introduction, and then.
So the last thing he says to me before he leaves on that last day, where he pretty much drew through, what a guy, all of his classes, and I kept on saying, you got more? Come on, you got more. More?
You were hungry.
I'd never seen such beauty.
That's wonderful.
And I was definitely a fangirl at the end. And he gave me, I'll never repeat one of them, but he said 3 things to me that gave me the compliment of my life. Then he encouraged me to get out of the quilt shop and get on the road. So I have you to thank and curse
That's right.
for being on the road. Yeah. And then he said, his car was running, the door is open, and he says, "I'll tell Sharon you said hi." And I went, "Oh shit." And he just out to the car and took off.
That was wonderful. And look at you. I mean, you've just gone, it's been an amazing journey for you, and I know that. So that was then, but I will say you had experience back then. You were an amazing sit-down quilter. So,
Thank you.
You started as a sit-down quilter, obviously.
I still love to.
And still love it. And in fact, I would say you almost love it more.
I do.
Yeah. Yep. So, and I've never seen sit-down quilting like yours. And I always, when I look at your work, I think of jacked up Diana Godinsky. And if a lot of
thank
you
you.
folks don't know Diana Godinsky, she is an amazing sit-down quilter. I mean, I know a lot of sit-down quilters that do amazing stuff that teach, but Sue's work is just right, exquisite, and perfect. I could never get that close as a sit-down quilter. So fabulous for my sit-down quilters, but she also does amazing long arm work. Let's talk.
We're going to be videoing her doing sit-down quilting.
Yes, we are going to be doing some sit-down quilting tutorials for our sit-down people that are out there and our domestic people that are out there. And
We know you exist out there.
We know you're there. We do not ignore you. She's going to talk a lot about rulers with that sort of thing. The other thing so let's get into some personal stuff. So obviously Minnesota, you just moved from the house that I loved that you were in. But you're moved about 20 miles away.
It was in White Bear Lake.
Go Bears. So Fargo.
Yeah.
So anyways, you were there. Your wonderful husband, Tom, travels with you.
It was our first and only house. We were there 35 years.
Yeah, and the long arm studio was wonderful. I loved it. Now you have this incredible long arm studio that is just, I mean, walls move and it's just amazing, crazy. Take the hint, Rich. So Tom travels with you.
Yes, whenever he can. He's still working full time, but the hope is soon he'll be full-time quilt person too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lucky him.
Woo! Yeah, well, Rich and him talk,
And
just like Linda Hershka's husband,
Support
Scott,
group.
and him talk. There's like a whole support group out there
Yeah.
of quilt widows, I guess
Yeah.
would be the right
Yeah.
phrase for them.
Well, I couldn't do booths without him, and so we've been doing maybe 3 shows a year where I have a booth, and he's instrumental in that. He's also wonderfully gifted at math and creativity when it comes to math. So I wouldn't have the wonderful tools that are patented if it wasn't for his genius behind it.
Right.
So he's very much co-president of my business.
And I will say that you mentioned the word patent, and I always want to bring that up because I think that's an important thing in our industry. You have patented most of your tools, and one of the things is that you're big on, and I love it. I'm big on it. I pray for integrity in the quilting community, but I just know after this many years, it's like people just do what they do. But you have an expectation of integrity, and you have patented your work, and you're gracious to share it all, but it is a patent issue. And that can be an issue in the community for creative people that make tools and that sort of thing.
And we were also curious, Tom and I, the tools that Jamie is referring to that you'll see in a moment, make circles and divide circles. Well, circles have been around since the caveman, so how unique is this tool? The only test that we have is going for a patent and seeing it. So I guess we now know it's very unique.
Yep, absolutely. So that's a cool thing to mention as well, because that is integral. And there's nothing worse, and Linda and I were talking about that when we did our live show, about one of the problems that we have found, that I have found, that many of us, you as students and participants in the quilting community have found, is it can get really caught up into, you start going to classes and it's like a repeat of everything regurgitated, because teachers will take classes of other teachers, and the next thing you know, And I know
same
Sue,
thing with Pinterest.
Yeah,
you might
absolutely.
have the byline on the first screen grab from that design, but as people repin, I would love to know who invented Pebblework and give them a shout out, because it's amazing, but I don't know.
Yeah, swirls, feathers.
Yeah.
I always think of my first person I ever saw do feathers, which were the little chubby half-heart feathers, was Linda Taylor, who was amazing. She was, I was pretty early on into the quilting community, and it was Linda Taylor that kind of showed me the original feather that I ever saw.
And how about bump backs? McTavish?
Bump backs.
Karen McTavish?
Yeah, I think Karen McTavish was, but I learned it. I know that I think Nicole Webb showed me my first bump back, but she said Karen McTavish is doing this and da 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 da.
So thank you,
yeah,
Karen.
Yeah, all these wonderful people. Okay, we all know what that noise is. That is prize noise. So we're going to go over to Rich because Rich is going to draw for some amazing prizes that you have also included in the bucket.
All right, so let's see.
Nice comments.
Hey Siri, pick a random number between 1 and 47. Number 18. Patricia Arnold. Patricia Arnold
Yay!
is number 18. Let me get you something.
Yay. Patricia. I love the name Patricia.
Mm-hmm.
Do any particular order?
No. Andrea, I love your comment. Sharon was my neighbor. I made her crazy.
You learned your color, didn't you, Andrea? Yes. She's big on color, aura colors. Drawn to Mastery. This is actually the first book, right?
It is. And actually, this is the book that you said you got to quit this gig at the quilt shop. No, I have kids in college. Nope, you got to quit.
Gotta go.
Gotta go.
Yep.
And
Time
within
to go.
4 months, I think, I had this book out. It's dedicated to Jamie. And he allowed me to utilize one of his designs as a launching point for other things.
Yeah,
So
again, you took it into complete awesomeness. Okay, name again, Mr. Ritchie?
You caught me by surprise.
I sure did.
You'll have to wait a second.
Okay.
anyway, this book contains all linear, what we call sashing designs.
Got it.
Hey Siri, pick a random number between 1 and 47.
A random number between 1 and 47 is 33.
So 33, Daniela Durham. Daniela Durham.
Okay. And you're
I
making a
didn't
list
have my
of this.
mic
I'm
on.
going to set these books aside, Mr.
Jimmy,
Ritchie.
can you say her name, Daniela Durham?
Daniela Burnham.
Durham.
Durham. Daniela. Are you here, Daniela? And we're asking because we want to make sure, usually, that you don't have the book, because then we can always grab a different book. So this is Drawn to Mastery. This was the second book?
Second book?
Okay, awesome. And I love this one because of the round wreaths. This is absolutely incredible. And actually, we're going to be doing some flip-throughs later on in the show today because you're
What
going to
was
see.
the first book?
The first book
was the red cover, Drawn to Mastery. They-
Oh, so
red
it is-
cover.
Okay.
And this one's Drawn to Mastery, blue cover, please.
Sashing medallion and wreaths.
Yay!
Actually,
Awesome.
this was going to be a series, so we named it the same thing, and the copyright office said, same book, we're not going to copyright that. So we
Yep.
learned
Yep.
different titles.
And I like the other titles too. It's kind of neat. So, okay. So back to, back on point. So you left the quilt shop, and I know.
That was a big leap of
Yeah.
faith for me.
And it was one of those things. It was like I didn't have contact with you for like 6
Over a
months to a year, and then the next thing I know, I see all
Daniela
this.
doesn't have that book.
Yay!
Yay! Awesome, Daniela. You're gonna love it. I have all of them and love them. And the next thing you know, you're doing this incredible stuff.
I came
and-
to your
Yeah.
your studio in the
Yep.
Gibson building
Yes.
for a maintenance class, and boy did I need it because it had been a year of working my long arm,
Yep.
and that was a great class.
It was a fun class. So, but you were doing amazing work at
And
that
that was
point.
the first time I had traveled by car that far away from home. So that's another leap
Yeah.
for me. Now I'm traveling all over the country and loving it.
Not to be weird, but I will say you're pretty sheltered at home. Your family kept you right. Your family kept you pretty sheltered, and you were just into your quilting
was-
and enjoying it and
That's
focused.
why I had heard of Houston.
Yep.
And when Jamie said, "Yeah, I teach," it's like, okay, where? How many people? Oh, 200.
One of the things that I know is that when I started seeing your stuff, what I started seeing was this is fresh. This is stuff that's not out there, and it's stuff that people need to see, and we need fresh teachers, and we need people that have humility. I mean, you have an amazing humility that's wonderful for people, because I think everybody in quilting has a little bit of a self-esteem issue, most people. And if they don't, they should have a little bit, just to kind of keep them frosty. I know I'm always thinking, oh my gosh, I hope they never find out how really not great I am. But nonetheless, it was, well, Rich knows. But nonetheless, that's when you started doing the teaching, and that's been quite the road.
Well, you and Sharon, if I can mention her name yet one more time,
Yes.
always had their own designs. Always. They never taught anything other than their own designs. So from my background, and then seeing those two individuals as an example, I wouldn't dare show up and teach if it weren't all my own designs, or if I did pebble work or bump back feathers. I usually mention Karen McTavish's name and give her a shout out, because I think let's give credit where credit is due.
Yeah, that's important. People get insecure about saying, oh, this is inspired by so-and-so and so-and-so, because it affects their self-esteem. They're going to think that people are thinking that they're not the genius. And it's like, oh, stop it, grow up. I love giving credit to other people.
You do.
I think that's so important, except for Rich. So, nonetheless, so that was kind of your foray. So you've been out there teaching now for 10 years?
This will be my 14th year.
14th year, but you were teaching at the quilt shop, sit-down quilting.
No, they never allowed it.
That's right, they never allowed it, but which is why I wanted you out of there.
What I do is I work the
They were
quilt shop
muscling
at
you.
night. I was the night crew, and it was my store at night because I had the keys. And it was a Bernina dealership also. So I would kind of sit and play on the machines and then not take the fabric away.
Good morning, Vanessa. So, okay, so home life. You have 2 children not at home.
Correct.
Yep, they are off and living their life.
They have fledged.
They have fledged, and I know, of course, the beautiful Mallory, because Mallory, of course, I know her.
These two
Yeah,
just connected.
yeah. We connected. She should be an audiobook narrator. What a voice! She works for Disney.
Disney
Yep.
in
Okay.
Florida.
In Florida, so and you get to go there a lot. So
I do.
That's awesome.
I do.
Yeah.
To visit Mallory.
Yep. There you go.
And her wonderful husband, Marcus.
Wonderful. And then you also have your other daughter you have a couple grandchildren.
Uh-huh.
So
Uh-huh.
you get to be
So
grandma.
our other daughter is Lauren and her husband, Dylan. And we've been blessed with 2 wonderful little bitty kids, 3 and
Wonderful.
5 little boys.
And a few granddogs, right?
And 2 granddogs.
That's right. Awesome. And then, of course, the wonderful Tom,
Yes.
which we've talked about. So that's kind of your home life, and now the new studio. So you have this amazing studio. So COVID. So you were out teaching. You
COVID
were
was a
just
downtime.
getting in deep, entrenched into that, and then COVID happened, and
Like it happened to us
Yeah.
all.
yeah.
So I was pretty much out of work for 18 months, but
Yep.
I did start virtual teaching,
Yep.
not a lot.
Zooming.
And then one brave guild in Missouri said, "Come on down. We don't have it here. Come on down." And okay, because I just needed to see people. So that was kind of a
You were
boost.
hungry.
A boost.
my
a boost.
gosh. Yeah.
But it was a down time
Yeah.
for us all.
Absolutely. We had to learn a lot of new skills. We had to reinvent ourselves, really. I mean, that was it. You know, especially us over 30 crowd. I think really had to learn technology and where are we going with this, because it will never be the same. And if you know, a lot of you know what I'm talking about. It's not going to be what it was.
But thank God we came through healthy.
Yep, and survived and all of that. So you do Zoom classes. About how many classes do you have in your repertoire?
In-person classes?
Yes.
Or I suppose I could Zoom those
You could
classes
Zoom
too.
anything, sure.
8.
Okay, wonderful. Wonderful. Is that including your amazing binding class?
Yes, so I have basically, I have 5 books, and so I have classes based on those. In addition, I have a beginner and an advanced feather class. And the binding class is either a lecture or a sewing with machines class as well. And then I have 2 piecing related, otherwise my day job is free motion quilting instruction. But one of my favorite things to teach, Tom calls it the Sue Heinz Comedy Hour, is what I call You've Got a Friend Named Elmer. And it's, again, a wonderful technique that I have Sharon's permission to teach, and it's a blast.
Awesome. Awesome blossom. We want to get you on Patreon. Not just as a guest star, but you gotta get a Patreon channel. I look at your designs and it's like, oh my gosh, you've got hundreds of designs that are just absolutely exquisite. So, which we're gonna get to shortly. So, when you look back at the last 3 years, we were talking a little bit about this yesterday, and a lot of you at home probably feel the same way. What is the thing that you think you missed out on? And we both kind of said one of the things that we missed out on is going into COVID. We've had this 18 months, 2-year period, and we didn't know what to do with it because we were just floundering.
I kept on thinking it's going to end next week,
Yeah.
and then so my last name is Heinz. So had I had hindsight, in the right spot,
Right.
if I would have known, I would have had 18 months off, so to speak.
Right.
Wow,
What we could have gotten done.
yes.
So many of
yes.
us didn't get things done.
Yes. However, I think the mental issues of seeing the numbers grow
Yeah.
every day, of
Yeah.
exponentially, of how many we lost during that time. It was just
Absolutely.
maybe not a good time to be creative. I don't
Both
know.
of us lost people, close people. So yes, so that's definitely something that I always want to bring up because we are coming out of that. Thank goodness. And there we go. So we're of course going into a new phase with now new skills, new technology, and all that. And now, so let's talk a little bit about what's this year. Where are you teaching? Where can they find you throughout the next year if they want to take an in-person?
I'm not international yet, hopefully. But I'm teaching New York, Texas 3-4 times, in addition to Houston
Right.
show, Wisconsin, Nevada.
Wonderful. And is this, do you have
There's
a
more.
place? Sure. Your website is the, Rich will
SueHeinz.com.
link. Yep.
What I've said in class, just go out to my website, myname.com.
Yep.
And they started typing in my
Name.
name. I just went,
My
ha ha ha. So it's
I'd be one of those.
SueHeinz.com.
Wonderful.
And I've
you
got my
have a calendar.
Yep.
It's all there, so you can go check her out. And trust me, after the next, the very merry month of Sue, you are going to want to go check her out because you're going to see how absolutely diverse and how much meat there is in her meal. And even if
Thank
you're
you.
a vegan, you're going to want to eat some of that because it's beyond amazing.
Thank you.
So it has been for your repertoire has just grown.
You
to
know how
this
amazing it is to
original.
sit here next to you.
Likewise.
My Joe
Likewise.
Mechanic
That's
guy.
my Joe Mechanic, and that's very sweet. Thank you. Okay, so we've got that going on. Later on, we're going to talk about products that she has because, of course, that's one of the reasons to do our Coffee with Jamie when we have special guests. We want you to see what she has to offer as far as products. But one of the things that I would like to do is I want to go ahead and I want to do with the Coffee with Jamie, a nice tutorial. We're going to do just like my style, which is kind of your style as well.
It is. It's very similar.
Yeah, is to do a drawing. We want to draw some stuff, and then I want to take us over to the machine. We're going to quilt some stuff, and then we're going to go over to our other table. We're going to then set up, and we're going to do some show and tell. We're going to do then some product discussion about what works, so that way you're looking at what would work well for you.
And please, questions.
Absolutely.
Ask us questions.
Do not hesitate. Before we head that direction, though, here are some basic questions I'm going to ask you. I always ask about marking tools. I'm going to skip the one marking tool because we have a toot that's coming up on one of your main ones, which I'm fascinated by, which you will see over the next week or two here on the Patreon channel. What are some of the other marking tools aside from that you like to use?
Bowen chalk pencils,
Yep.
white.
Yeah.
Only the white.
Yep.
Not the yellow.
Not the
not
yellow.
the gray.
Yep, we got the thin
Ask
one.
me how I know.
And then we got the thick one, which I don't
Right.
think I have
Here it
here.
is.
It's over at the machine.
Thick.
Yeah, thick. So these are something that Sue uses as well, and I swear by them because they.
And this is
They work.
something Jamie has taught me. Whoopsies. This pencil holder is the same thing at Clover, Dritz, Fons and Porter. Blah, blah, blah.
Bowen, yeah.
Yeah. But what makes the difference is the chalk inside.
Yeah.
And so he's taught me very well, look at the packaging. You don't care who manufactures it. Look at the packaging, and if it has
Polymer.
clay polymer, run away,
Run.
run away,
Run
run away.
screaming.
Yeah,
It will stain that quilt down the road.
yes.
Yep. And what about for white fabrics? You use pretty specific on the Crayola,
Yeah.
which we will talk about later. And I know that some of you are thinking, Crayola, but we're going to talk a little bit about that in a future toot here. Do you use any of this at all?
No.
Okay, so you don't do any of the blue,
No,
you
actually,
don't do any of the purple.
when Jamie was at my home, my long arm was in front of a west-facing window. We're in Minnesota.
Lots of sun.
It is cold, half the year, and then it can get pretty hot. Can reach 100 some days. So I never gave it another thought. I had started using the blue because everybody uses blue, and then he said, "Don't use blue because of the window." I went, "Huh? What?
Yeah.
What?" And he goes, "It could set your marks." And it's like, oh my gosh. So that was brilliant.
You were doing a lot of things at the time, and I know that with you, as with a lot of quilters, what would happen, and I remember this, correct me if I'm wrong, but she would start a quilt, but then would go away and work on other stuff for like 3 weeks, and so it'd be setting in this hot sun with this, of course, blue erasable pencil.
And I
which-
even got a
yeah.
pieced quilt in
early
from a
ones.
customer, and she had pieced using the blue
Yeah.
washout, and so I draped the window while I was working on it. While I
Yeah.
wasn't working on it on the long arm,
Through
I
muslin.
had
Yeah.
I had a sheet over it. I
Yep.
was just nervous as heck.
Yep, something you want to do if you're going to walk away from a quilt that has a lot of the blue mark on it, you definitely want to throw something over that quilt, like a piece of muslin or something, just because if you have heavy lights or you're near a strong light window, you don't want that color to set. There are things to get it out. I mean, like our blue line erase works really well. So Clean, the old So Clean that we used to use, that worked really great. I've never had an issue doing that, but if you don't have those products and you're just doing the water dunk, you're in trouble. So,
And
yeah.
is there, as long as we're talking tools, is there a tool you would absolutely never use?
Frixion pens.
Yes, thank you for saying
Yeah,
it.
I'm big on the no Frixion pens, and I'm also big, as other people have known, on the anything graphite related. And I always joke about the Italian guys who have some great products in their booth. But one of the things that they sell with their half shirts on and all the muscles hanging out are these amazing graphite pencils that they promote. And I am no graphite, because graphite eats cotton over time. It will eat it right away. Probably within about 3 years, you will no longer have fabric wherever that line
And
was
it
marked.
blackens it too.
It blackens it too.
Oh,
and
what's
it's
that
a
time
scary
for?
thing. Yay, prize.
And it's time for another prize. So, hey Siri, pick a random number between 1 and 47.
A random number between 1 and 47 is 33.
Really? We just did that one. Hey Siri, pick a random number between 1 and 47.
A random number between 1 and 47 is 34.
Jane Franciscan, who happened to just visit our studio
Yay!
a couple weeks ago on her way, I believe, up into Michigan. So hold on, and
Oh,
I
that
will
made it
get
crazy,
a
too.
prize.
Awesome. Yay. Let's see what you're going to pick out.
Well, let's keep going with Sue's books. How's that?
Yay!
Yes, definitely. Ooh,
Ed.
ooh, yum, Ed. Elemental Designs. This, I can't say there's a favorite because I love all of them. This is an amazing one, so you did good. Let me see. Yep, you don't have this, Jane? And I'll check and see as we say. I want to make sure you don't get a duplicate of something you already
There's
have.
a time lag, so.
There's a little bit of a time lag, so we'll assume you don't have that. Hey, Barb, it's okay. You're never late. You showed up, and you can always watch it as a rewatch. So
You just missed some jokes.
you
that's
just missed
all.
some jokes. So there we go. So there we go. So we talked about a little bit of drawing tools. What's your favorite batting?
Hands down, Dream Wool.
Yep. Yep, it's amazing. I love Dream. I think Dream is an amazing batting. I typically only have Hobbs in my studio because that's what they're willing to pay for. Because Dream, of course, it's you're paying for quality.
Little
and you are
pricier,
spending.
but
It's
it's
a little
worth
more
it.
pricey,
Yeah.
but it's worth it. I agree, and I think their wool, everything that they do, wonderful, Jane. Thank you. Is incredible. What about thread? What's your favorite thread?
Isocord.
Okay. Do you
Did I
use
say that
anything
too
else?
fast?
Nope. Nope. I love Isocord too, and I love any of the 40-weight polys.
And that comes from
Yeah.
your initial 3 days with me.
Yeah.
You spoke of nothing. Use Isocord. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Use Isocord.
As new quilters, there's no fail. If you got Isocord or even the Glide, which is the generic Isocord, I find that's real good. Not demeaning any of the other threads. Superior threads, great, whatever.
Good.
Wildeye, Jim.
Jim.
I love Jim. Jim is amazing
I do
from
too.
Wildeye. He's one of the dearest treasures actually in our community. So there
And
we
I've
go.
never found a color I couldn't match or
Exactly.
blend with Isocord.
Absolutely. I agree. So, okay, let's see. So we've talked about that. We've talked about that. Do you pre-wash all your backs or no?
No, never.
Okay, so you never pre-wash. I'm a big pre-washer of backs, simply because I find that there's
Get the
so
stretch
much
out of 'em?
sizing and all that stuff. It just works much better for me.
Most
Just
of
curious.
my stuff will never get washed. They're wall hangings normally, or
Right.
class samples or something like that. So I don't wash. But I think the misnomer out there in the community is if I pre-wash, I have preset
Okay,
the colors.
got it.
You want to comment on that? Being
No,
being
I
a
think
dyer,
that's pretty self-explanatory. Yeah,
because
No,
it
that's
doesn't
good.
set the color.
Right, right. No, I think that's
But some people
great
think
option.
it does.
It does. No,
Well, I've pre-washed. Why is it running?
Right, right. Absolutely. And a lot of people don't know, and you've heard me say it a million times, when you pre-wash fabric, if you are a pre-washer, you don't just run it through the washer. You actually have to put it in the washer, let it start to run, and then you have to pause it in that first detergent thing for 3 hours, because it needs 3 hours in water to leak out all of the bleedable fabric.
And a
If you're
color
just-
catcher is good.
And a color catcher is good. Absolutely. They're pretty when they're done.
When they come out.
are, when they come out. That's right. You can use those in craft projects.
Also, I don't pre-wash for one other thing. I like to have the stiffness
I do too.
in my fabrics. And if for some reason a fabric that I love and I want to use is limp, I will starch it heavily.
Oh, I am a starcher.
And it's starch, not sizing.
No.
There is a huge difference.
I agree.
Sizing, the Mary Ellen's Best Press, we love the smell of it, but it's a light crisp. It doesn't do what starch does.
I want it
Yep, I want it
white collar stiff, right?
like
Yeah,
this.
like
you know?
that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love it too. Good old dollar store. Faultless, Niagara,
And
heavy
if-
duty.
And if we're not out buying it, it's going to go away. So starch is starch is starch, whether you use it, make it with vodka behind the woodshed or whatever. But if you use aerosol like I do, keep buying it because oftentimes at Target I can't find it.
Yep.
I ask somebody where's the starch, they don't even know what I'm talking about.
Right.
So it is starting to go away.
It is. Dollar stores are where I get ours, and it's same starch for $1 rather than for
See that
$3.25.
comment by Barb?
Barb.
108
Yeah.
shrink, yeah.
Barb, exactly.
Yep.
Now remember, one of the things that I always say as well is I do not wash my top fabric. So when I'm piecing, I don't pre-wash. I only pre-wash backings, and I've never run into the, but you didn't pre-wash the top, so it's going to shrink weird the first time you wash it. Never had that issue. So.
And again, if I were doing bed quilts, I would totally pre-wash because it's going to be washed and washed and washed.
So do you do client quilts?
No, not anymore. I used to.
Okay. Do you want to?
Maybe. Last June, I became a handy quilter ambassador.
Great.
Yay.
Congratulations. They're very lucky to have you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. So I'm falling in love with the handy quilter machines, and perhaps
Yeah.
I have now. I never thought I'd have a digital long arm, but I do. So I am starting to fall in like.
Yes.
With Jamie's help, I'll fall in love. But maybe edge to edge quilts just to keep me fresh.
We've been playing computerized because you've been
Yeah.
here for 3 days, and you kind of got a machine drop and run, and so now we're kind of going through. Not really, but you
Yeah.
got a machine. Yeah, you're like me. Don't show me once. I gotta see it for like 10 times before I understand
I'm getting
the
older.
procedure. So I'm the same way. So we've been doing that over and over. Absolutely, Roxanne. I'm the same way. It's like it's getting harder to find some of that starch. So, yeah. Okay. So what else? What are some other things that you do? Tips that you run into with anything? Use that.
I have a tip. When you are marking, especially with chalk, it's an angle thing.
Yeah, it is.
So people say, oh, you said this chalk would come out and it didn't, and what did it? And so you don't auger it in. Nope.
Right.
So the mark should be light, light, light. Like, can I even see it? Light. And think of this: if this is fibers in your fabric, and you're drawing across it, if you hold the pencil like this, what's the likelihood it's going to get between the fibers? Okay, so you go across. So no amount of surface rubbing is going to get between the fibers.
Right.
But now just look at angle here. If you angle it like this, okay, a little less gets between. But how about like this? I'm off camera. Like this.
Sure.
Would it go between the fibers?
Right.
No.
Right.
And
cool.
you can't put as much downward pressure on it either if
Right.
you're drawing across like this. So a little tip.
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely.
And I have found these to be awesome for taking off the chalk.
I saw that when we were doing some of the tutorials the other day.
And
This
that's
is
a dollar
awesome.
store thing.
Yeah, this is great. We have some of the little brushes with handles that are similar, but these are hard to find. These are amazing.
Those
And
are the
it's
kind where
the
it
red
takes,
velour
it takes
is
off
what you
lint,
want.
and then if you go the wrong
One side
direction,
is
you got
hard,
a pile of lint.
and then there you go. Yeah, this is good stuff, though. I love that. Okay, so one thing I'd like is we're going to be doing a design to start with. So would you do me a favor and kind of start us down that road? Same process as what we are going to sew out. I am going to turn this over to you, Mr. Ritchie. If you want to organize yourself, are you ready to go?
I'm ready to go.
Okay. And you're going to introduce one of your tools, but we're going to talk about that a little bit more, especially over the next month. And you've got all your papers and everything you need?
do,
You're
I
good to
do,
go?
I do.
All right, I'm stepping out of here, and you're going to make magic and make sure to check to keep things centered.
It's Disney time.
Yay! We're going to do a face down, Mr. Ritchie, or top down.
All right, I'm going to show you this design, and I want you to think of the first thing that pops into your head when you look at this design. Got it? Even write them in the comments, perhaps. As women, most of you, I would think you would say, never in God's green earth, blah, 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 or something like that. That's just a woman thing. It looks hard. And what I want to say is it's not hard at all. This is a simple grid pattern. So let me show you. This is all sashing based. What I love about sashing, it's A, very overlooked in our industry, and B, so versatile. So let me show you the singular design that makes up this entire pattern. Have you gone into sashing, Jamie, at all with your Patreon people?
A little bit.
The little cure, the spaghetti versus 45?
No,
All right, all right. Most of us has learned spaghetti through osmosis, which means we haven't really been trained. We just, do. Okay? So if your sashing kind of looks like this, where this is the design, this is the connector, we wonder, well, gee, the corner was supposed to be here an hour ago. Where is it? Or, dang, that corner came up pretty darn quick. It's because I call this spaghetti. It's inconsistent normally, and it can be thin, it can be thick, it can even drag down, which drags down the life of your design. And that's how we've learned it, with kind of these spaghetti connectors. What I want to do is retrain the brain and do a 45 degree. If you look out in nature, 45 degree rocks it on most of our plants and things, and it's just a beautiful thing. So if this is a 90 degree, this is as mathy as I'm ever going to get. 90 degree, okay, that's a 45, right? So I want you to do a 45 degree connector, go into that same shape, and as soon as you're down here, you're going to connect again. You're going to launch 45 degree, 45 degree, 45. If you look at the difference, this has life and lift and consistent spacing. Why? It's a math thing. It takes this long of a distance to go 45 from the bottom to the top. Boom. It's wonderful. So that's my huge tip. Just get the muscle memory going. So this particular shape, 45 degree, nice round bowl. You've got outies, which would go this way, or innies, which would go inside this bowl. This design is an innie, so I'm going to go inside. And when I'm roughly halfway between the back side of this bowl and the tip, so right around here, I'm going to stop, angle down, look here, and just get there. Now I'm stuck back here and I'm going this direction, so I want to duplicate this point up here. Make sure you do the full height of your area. Sneak over the top here, and you are done. That's the entire design. So 45 again, nice round bowl, inside, halfway, get there, come on up top, sneak around, and go. For the circular design, I'm going to make it even easier. I'm only going to use this much. And that's it. Do you think you can do it? Because what I found on most sashing designs, they have a point where they launch, and a point where they launch, and a point where they launch. If you look, see, point, 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 point. If you take that point, you can spin it.
Awesome.
And that's where I started to get the idea to do medallions. So that blue covered book that we just gave away one of has all circular designs based on one template. This may look pretty confusing, so I'm going to break it out into little segments here for you. But basically, the middle you have a medallion. If you want to go fancier, you add a wreath. Think of Christmas, hole in the wreath, and then we can even go bigger and put corners on it, and then they fit beautifully within blocks. How I get these shapes, I'm using my tool here, which we'll go through later. This tool allows you to do over 90 different circles in 1/8 inch increments and divide those circles evenly in halves, quarters, eighths, and 1/16. Wonderful. So I'm going to just take the center section here, and let's start on a medallion.
And could you bring that tool back into the
Oh,
screen for
all
me,
right.
please?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the one thing that I want to say to everybody is I am so confused easily by things. And when I first saw this tool years and years ago, when I got mine, I was lost. But I also hadn't taken the class.
And
now-
also on our website, the tutorial we did at the time, it was before we had patented it.
Right.
So it was kind of very high level because we didn't want to give away too much of the farm.
Sure. And now that I've been playing with this is so simple and straightforward and direct to use. You just have to know some of the tips. And trust me, over the next very merry month of Sue, you will be learning most of the tips and tricks to using this so that you can take these and then go see Sue for more of the design options.
So getting this back, I'm going to focus just on this, which we call a medallion. So just a reference point, I'm only using this much of the design, okay? So each of these fill up this whole pie shape, and this line here, sometimes you need it, sometimes you don't. This is a guideline. This can, change depending on the design, but for this design, that works great. Again, to fill this shape, I want to start here. I want to touch right here on this intersection, touch there, there, and there, which will completely fill up this space. And let's go. Fill here, hit, go all the way inside here. Rest this bowl right on that line. Going to do an inside. And as soon as I cross that line, the timer ticks. I have to go stop halfway between this line and this line. So it's about like that. Stop. Put this point right on this intersection. That's important. And then angle my way down, and you are done.
That's awesome.
All you need to learn. So the reason why this point goes right there is when I start off again, going to hit that point and fill and go back around right there, go on down. You start to see a secondary shape come in right here, and it's very fun to see the different shapes that emerge because you are aligning the designs within each of these templates or these spaces. I don't ever have to worry about, is it going to be round? Because the grid figures that out for me. Is it going to be consistent? Yes, because it's gridded. So all I have to focus on is doing that same design over and over and over again. Is this hard? Really, when you think of it, is this hard? With a few minutes of practice, is this hard?
No.
No, not at all. And so it makes you look like a rock star really without breaking a sweat, I think. So if we wanted to go a little fancier then and do this wreath, all the wreath is 2 more circles added on. I'm extending out my divisions. So now rather than work with a pie shape, this has been sometimes referred to as the crust. This is my shape that I'm going to do. You can, most of us have 2 sashing designs that we use, and only 2. I got 2, I got variety. Why do I need more? You can use that second one if you wish out here and do a combination. But for this example, I'm just going to continue to use the same design. So starting here, go on in and sneak across the top. That's all you need to do. Keep on going around. You can make a bunch of errors, like that's not as wide as this. Your eye corrects. It is a very forgiving process, which makes me all the more comfortable in sewing them out and really not being afraid of these at all. In fact, these kind of get boring after a while, if I can say that, because again, you're just doing the same design, same design. So after a while, you're thinking, what am I going to make for dinner? Who do I have to pick up after school? You know, because you're just thinking. So at this point, you've got this guideline here, and it looks to be a complete circle, but actually when the guidelines are removed, what do you have? You've got this scalloped edge. Do you want that? If so, cool, you can stop there. But if you want it to appear as a complete circle, then you have to fill in these valleys. What's nice about a circle is you come back around, so you can do all of this in one thread. I would just fill in with V's. So they're kind of parallel lines. And just go around the circle one more time. And as you can see, the difference between this side scalloped, this side reads completely as a circle.
Perfect circle.
And
without using a ruler.
And what's the hardest thing about doing circular designs, I think, is actually sewing a circle. And so with these designs, the repetition fills in and removes the need to sew that circle. Again, always have a little moat, little ditch area here of space between, so that your designs aren't banging into each other. And then you'll see in a moment on the video, when I produced the second book, I thought, boy, I'm going to be on the Quilters Hall of Fame. I mean, this is so new edge, yada, 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 that I quickly produced the book, and I was so proud until the comments started to come in. And this is, some quilters to me sound like, oh, well, you know. And what they were doing is complaining, oh, well, where am I going to put a circle?
What about?
Geez, what about, you know, circles? I have blocks. I have squares. What am I going to do? You know, and I went, oh my gosh, really? So it's not in the book, but we do have separate cards that we'll go through in the show and tell. Tom, my husband, has worked out all the math to proportionately scale these designs up and down, because he asked me after the book is out, you know, Sue, why are the designs that size? Well, I don't know, it fit on the page. I don't know. So he helped us all out by doing the math there. But there's also a guide for doing this. So Rich, if you can point the camera down at the table, thank you. It's just the addition of one more circle here, and this would be, it looks like it's right up against the ditch. If this were my actual block, this would be kissing the ditch, so to speak.
I'm going to interrupt.
Yeah.
But even this rocks. It's
It,
in a
it,
square.
it does.
It's there.
It does.
It's like it's.
And I'm not
so
sewing
it's
out to
great.
here anyway.
It's
Usually
beautiful.
I like the design to float, so I will offset the design. Say the block is 8 inches. This will be drafted at 7 3/4, so I've got 1/8 of an inch of float. But basically, that creates a nice corner for me. And so corners, sorry, the book was out, and I don't have corners designed for every design. But in class, by the way, I do show a number of corner designs. But in this case, it looks kind of like this that I've come up with for this one. And then I go backwards here, which is kind of like, what? And it's done. So something, if you use 2 designs, whatever you use in the middle, echo it out here. But that was kind of a good corner design for that. And again, in show and tell, I've got a couple of sew outs, all just the circles, and then that same circle design with a corner, and my goodness, does it ever look different.
It's amazing, Sue. And I'll tell you what, that was That was one of the more simple ones, and it is extremely simple. It takes me a lot of time, and remember, you've been with me enough to know that it's like the human brain needs 20 to 35 minutes of repetition on paper, and it's in there. It's like with any of these designs that we're going to go over,
Riding a
actually
bike.
over the next month or two, because we have the extra tutorials that we're going to be throwing out with Sue, Sue's graciousness. You just need to know that you just need to sit with it for like a half an hour, 40 minutes. Grab the books. I don't push products often. I
Yes, you do.
love these books. I love, love, love these books. There is so much meat in them. They are not a get a book and there's two things. These books are, I wouldn't be without them in my studio.
Well, I absolutely love, 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 love to
Yep.
teach. In my degree in college was art and secondary education.
Yep.
So I love to teach. And whenever I'm doing a design, if I'm not able to break it down, so I'm thinking, well, how would I teach this in
Right.
step-by-step, little bits, little bits, little bites? And if I'm not able to break it down much, it's not part of my repertoire, even though it's a very cool design.
Yeah.
So
And you're like me. You like to cram 4 books in 1 book. We like a lot of meat because I know I'm cheap. When I buy stuff,
I'm
I want
very
a
cheap,
lot of bang for my
and
buck.
money is hard to come by.
Money
so
is big time hard to come by.
Yeah.
So, can we go quilt this out? We're going to go quilt this out. So, we're going to head over to the machine and you're going to see Sue quilt this amazing design out.
So first, they got to see the way this video starts. You're going to love this.
Whoops.
So, isn't that a beautiful shot?
Oh,
Caption that.
caption that.
I'm just thinking, wow, that shirt makes me look like 210 Tilly. I'm never wearing that again.
All right, Missy. Are you ready to boogie?
Absolutely.
All right. So now you're going to use a different shape, and will you first kind of take us through the process? Obviously, you're going to start with a sash design, and I know we've already marked out a sash spot, and then you're going to take us into a circle. So I'm going to let you take the lead, make magic happen.
All right.
So now we're in a sash, and this is approximately what, about an
Inch and a half.
Okay,
Inch and a half.
cool.
45-degree angle. Nice round bowl. And this is the toughest part of this, is just maintaining as well as you can that thickness down and up. Now, that's done, and I'm going to be doing just this much and turning it into a circular design. But because this is a sashing and I'm stuck back here, I need to get going this way. So I add this, another hook on the top, go all the way up to the top, and then just sneak over the top here, and that's the design.
I love it.
So now-
I love this spike, and I love how this comes in to fill this out.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It is a very versatile design. In fact, this design, I've got maybe 20 or so variations of this, and I'll be producing a booklet, not a full book, just based on this one shape, how many things you can do with it.
I love it.
Remember to do your 45-degree angles, because that makes everything consistently spaced.
Love it. It's almost like an arrow right there. I love that look.
This can be modern. It can be kind of like for guys, little temperamental and judgy.
Love it.
Oops, sorry, moving over. Stepped on your foot.
I've got 2.
45-degree is your key.
Love it.
And there you go.
Awesome. Okay. That's amazing. All right. So now you're going to next take this particular design into
I'm going to take it for a spin.
hold on. That is awesome. Now, I love that. But I love this book. This was your second.
Correct.
Of course, this is Drawn to Mastery, and I love it
Sashing
because
medallions and wreaths.
sashing medallions and wreaths, and I love the circles because you know I love me some circles. So now what I'd like you to do, if you could, is to actually take us through the marking for circles, but I also kind of want you to throw in taking it into a square.
All right,
So
I can
know
do that.
you have to know about that ahead of time, right? You
Right,
have to know if it's
right.
going in a square.
Right.
Okay, so
So
I'm gonna
this will
let you
be
walk.
a circle that is within a square. So I'm gonna sew it all the way out to fill a block design. So the first thing you need to do is, where is out of camera here, is I'm going to take my circle liner and I'm going to attach it to here so I can draft it out. So this does amazing things, but I actually want to get my fabric drum tight,
Okay.
like I'm drawing on a tabletop. So
Got
what
it.
I'm going to do is about 3 clicks usually. Yep, and just remember how many clicks it was, and that's pretty tight, so that'll be good.
Got it.
And I'm going to use these 2 things. We call this the rubber disc of happiness
Got it.
because it makes these tools work on a long arm. And then I just have a regular corsage pin. So I'm going to be sticking this down through the tool into the fabric. And this, think of it like a earring backer. I'm just going to impale the pin somewhere on this rubber thing.
Oh,
so
awesome.
you won't see this. This is underneath. So I'm going to go
Underneath the sandwich.
underneath the sandwich. So my
Now, can I ask this? Can I interrupt
Sure.
here? So
Yep.
when you put this in, you also have to keep in mind your throat space.
yeah,
So probably smart to put a line or something like that here so that you know that you're not going to go over. Is that correct?
that is correct.
Okay.
All right. So I'm just going to stick. Now this would be, in real life, this would be, you would have marked the center of your block.
Got it.
This is not real life.
Okay.
All right. So I'm just putting that disc onto the pin
Mind your toes.
and snugging up that disc tight against the pin. So now this isn't going to go anywhere.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
So now I just need my measurements here, and I'm going to do a 6.5 inch. This was designed to fit this marker actually, because every other marker is the biggest I've ever seen quilters use.
Right.
So this is 1/8 of an inch. So any other thing you like to mark with will work on these
Wonderful.
tools.
But this needs to be sharpened.
Yeah,
Right,
well,
okay.
it's nice. I wanted a nice crisp line. So here's my 6.5. And you want to read those off to me? 4.5.
4.5.
Boom.
4.
4 inch. Boom.
2 1/8.
2 1/8. Coming up. All right.
And then this says.
Divided into 8.
Okay.
So we have 8 slits in this, so that works well. You
So
just
it's every slit.
every slit, and you want to go all the way through. And notice, Jamie, on this, the dark lines,
Let me see.
dark lines on each slit.
Okay.
All right. Remember, go to the dark side.
Got it.
And that makes the math work out, because sometimes it's on the left, sometimes it's on the right.
Okay.
And that's so that your lines align when you're all done.
Okay.
And this has got a little. Can I have that other sharper one,
Absolutely.
please? Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you, sir.
While you're doing that, I'm going to sharpen this one in case you need it.
All right.
I love these that they break these when you use the chalk.
Yes. It's a nice soft chalk that does come out.
Everything.
Right. So that's why we love them. And you had a something that I've always gone back to, and that is if it has clay polymer on the packaging, run away. This didn't take right here. Okay, so what's cool about this shape or this material too is I can say, did that mark, you know,
And replace it.
and replace it very easily. So now my circle is marked, so I can take out that rubber disc. But, well, hold it now. I'm going to do one thing. I said I was going to show you squares.
That's right.
Isn't that cool? A circular design, circular tool can make squares.
Mhm.
How cool.
Absolutely.
So we could have this square encircle this beautifully, but you see this channel I put in here.
Yes.
You don't want to be sewing right into the ditch. So I usually make these 1/4 of an inch narrower than the block size. Then you have 1/8 of an inch before you hit the ditch. So
Got
it kind of floats.
Okay.
So the outer circle was 6.5 inches, and I want to make it then 7 inches. Or 7-inch square. So I want to mark a dot at 9 7/8. I'm so glad he did the math.
Okay. So when you say 9 7/8, what are you looking at on here to see 9 7/8?
Well, the circle liner is divided very easily. So when you look at the title, this first row is all your whole numbers.
Got it.
Going clockwise around, every ray increases by eighths. So if I'm looking for 9 7/8, it'll be up here somewhere.
Got it.
Here's my 9 7/8. So what I want to do is mark my 45-degree lines. So these 4 rays here coming off the 8 are my 45s. I just want to extend out my 45.
And we always make sure to reline these to the marks that we made already. Is that correct?
Not when I'm doing the 45.
Got it. Okay. So there's no relation to the marks you already
No. Okay, so now I want to find 9 7/8, okay, and mark a dot right on that line. 9 7/8,
made. Okay. So now I'm going to have you move your arm just a little bit so they can see.
9 7/8.
Beautiful. Ah, right on the line.
Right
9
on the
7/8.
line.
And it's all written right on there.
9 7/8. So what's wonderful is I'm kind of math phobic, and these tools take all the math out of the equation, excuse me.
Got it.
So now I can release this.
I think you just made Rich cry a little, math phobic, because he's
Oh.
all math.
Darn.
Oh my gosh.
Well, artsy fartsy people are usually
And
math
you know,
phobic.
Oh, yeah. And you know I hate it when he's in pain. You know that. Okay. Okay, so now you got your ruler, but you actually, let's see what you have there. So this is your circle liner extender.
Right,
Can
so
we
that
widen that shot just a little bit more, Rich? Okay. So this is going to be
this
your
would work.
circle liner
This would work
extender.
the same as the circle liner, but if I wanted to make a bigger circle, I just attach it in the same way, and it goes out to 24.5 inches. Pretty cool.
Fabulous.
And it also has the slit, so I can extend out any of these slits out.
Awesome.
But I'm going to use it for another purpose real quick, and that is just for a straight ruler, so I can connect these dots.
So you're squaring off to your dots.
Correct. And it makes a perfect square. This is just so slick. 9 times out of 10, when I use a square ruler and I try and mark something, cut something, that the 4th angle will be off. I don't know what it is, but this, it just comes out slick. So that's how
that's
you do.
gorgeous. Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now what I've done is I've utilized a corner. So what we could do is add one more 1/4 inch onto here, because now this is a 1/4 inch smaller than my block.
Mm-hmm.
So I won't be hitting the ditch. But if I want to make let's just do that real quick and you can see. I'm going to make the same ditch as I did here. This is a 6.5 inch circle. Try and find that same hole. So I'm going to do another circle so I'm just attaching that rubber disc onto the bottom. You can't see that, but that's what I'm doing. All right, now I'm just going to add a 7-inch.
I want to add this while you're doing that. I have had mine for years and years and years, and this is made out of the same stuff that mine was that I originally got from you.
Yes, it hasn't changed.
How long has this been out?
6 years,
Yeah,
maybe?
6 years. So I've had mine years and years, and this never wears it. I have
No.
never had it wear out.
No.
So it is
Sometimes
well
the
worth-
markings will chip a little bit, but no, it's meant to be used and abused, and it goes the distance. So now look at what I've got. That additional line here created my squares.
That's awesome.
And now I know where the diagonal is. I know where the center of my corners are. So now we can start to play.
Awesome.
So now I'm just going to draw one repeat of this, but you're used to seeing it as a linear design, and it looks a little different when you do it upright. You know, all of us quilters need to quilt in 360 degrees, but
Yep.
I'm also gonna take off one of the hooks. So it's just an S curve up, nice round bowl. Go to the inside of that hook. This is the tricky part. Try and make it as consistent around the bowl as possible. When I'm about halfway between the back side of this bowl and the tip here, I'm going to come out and make a hook, and then S-curve my way back home.
Awesome.
And that's going to make a pretty nice darn design.
So again, it's halfway between the hook front and the bottom, so the middle of the question mark.
Correct,
The belly of the
correct.
question mark.
So this looks very confusing, I think, with all these circles. So I'm just focusing on this circle here and what is on the inside. This is a guideline I use for some designs. This one, it's nice to have. So I'm just going to chalk in that design. I'm going to hit right here, there, and there. So I start off with a little S curve, hit that line, fill up this whole area. That'll make it look round. Rest the bottom of the bowl right on this line. Hook, come on to the inside. As soon as I cross this line, I'm looking for halfway between here and here, which is right about there. Stop, look to this intersection here, put that point right touching that intersection, S-curve your way down. That's all there is to it.
That's awesome. And I would say probably about, in your book, you have a copyable of this.
Yes, I
right?
do.
And so just like with anything that you practice, I would say probably about 10 or 15 times tracing over that, that's going to start to build that muscle memory.
Absolutely.
You've
Now,
got it.
just
Okay.
a clarification. In the book, I do not have the corner shape. It's only up to here
Got it.
shapes,
Okay.
these concentric circles.
Perfect. Okay. Now we clip.
Now we quilt. I was just going to tie this back just to get it out of my way until I start, so then I can bury it afterwards. Jamie doesn't like to bury, I'm a barrier. All right, I'm going to hit right there, all the way around, hitting all those walls. Go to the inside. Point right at that intersection and angle my way down. Now when I come back around on the second one, I want to make sure I touch the end of that point that connects all the various wedges into one shape.
And then it gets that secondary design.
Right, and that secondary design is just so much fun to see coming in. Now I'm going faster because we're on camera. Generally, I would be really putsy in sewing this out and trying to get it very accurate. But you know, this is a very forgiving design. So even though it's not, you know, perfect all the way around, it will still come out beautifully. And your friends will wonder, when did you get a digital quilting machine? You can't have done that by hand. And you say, oh yeah, I'm just that good.
The brain always evens things out after it does it a few times. Symmetry kicks in naturally.
Yes. So even though I'm doing this at a 360 degree, remember, all I had to learn is one shape, and then I'm just fitting it into each one of these grid boxes. It's just a grid.
I love it.
And there you go.
That is awesome. I love the movement and everything. Okay, you're giving me the look. Are you going to bury threads?
Yes.
Oh,
I was hoping you'd ask, Jamie.
Tie us off, Missy.
All right, I'm just going to take my finger, 2 fingers pointing toward the outside of my body, and I'm just going to twist them in. Hold on to the end, take my needle, put it in the loop, and then just put the end of the needle where you want the knot to go, and it just slides on down the thread, and it makes a very nice small knot. Thread your needle, and then put it right back in a hole and pull it through. Wait for that knot to pop and then cut.
Wonderful.
Should I do the other one?
I say do the other.
All right. Fingers to the outside, twist in, hold on to the tail. Put the needle right on the inside of that loop. Slide down, make a knot. Did you see how I knotted this,
Yes.
Jamie?
Yes,
This
I
is
did.
one of those spiral line needles, so all I have to do is just kind of click it on, and it is threaded. So for knot tying and burying, that definitely is my go-to tool. There you go.
Okay, that's pretty awesome. And even though I'm so used to tying off a gazillion times, that is way cool. Do you have a video for that on YouTube?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
It's called Get It Not So Fast,
Get It.
KNOT, So
love
Fast.
That's awesome. Now, this is the spiral eye, and you carry these,
I do. They're not my product,
right?
but the inventor is a friend of mine, Pam Turner, and she
Wonderful.
invented those and allows me to sell them.
Now, I would say this is something that if you want it, you want to get it fairly soon.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Okay.
COVID is making a dent in Spiral Eye.
Okay.
And
there
they're
we
not
go.
on my website, but just drop me an email.
Yeah, give her an email and you can order them, and they are well worth. I might think about using this for some of my
Oh,
cross
no.
stitch or embroidery stuff.
Oh, phew. I
Okay.
thought you were gonna
Oh, yeah.
start knot tying.
Holy
Woo!
cow. Okay,
That
that's
was
awesome.
tough.
So now, are you going to build this out a little more?
Yes.
Awesome.
Now I'm going to put a wreath on here and corners.
Awesome. All right.
So we've completed the medallion. Now I'm going to do this outer layer here where my grid was this triangle shape. Now my grid will be this trapezoid shape. So I'm going to do the same design here and down and come around and fill in each of these niches with that shape.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So do you now, and they will always go
Clockwise.
following this. Have you ever done it where this one goes the opposite way, or can you play with it?
Oh, you sure can play, sure.
Okay. And these are all going clockwise. Can you play with that?
Yes, because in my book, every design is both clockwise and mirrored. So this one would be looking at this one. So they're grouped.
It's almost like hearts.
Yes.
Oh, I
yeah.
love it. Okay. Okay. So.
And then I'm going to do a corner as long as I've got the chalk here. My corner will look like this and down. So these actually will be facing each other. Come on. And I'm just going to chalk. Usually on corners, I like to pre-chalk because they're a little different.
Chalk is magic.
Yes, indeed.
Makes
And
it
it all
so
goes
good.
away.
Awesome. Okay.
All right.
Let's quilt it.
All right. I just want to hold my threads over here till I get going.
I used to do that for years and years and years, and I got out of the habit, and it felt so nice. You always end up with such a beautiful underneath. But that's part of also tying off rather than, or burying rather than tying off.
Yes.
Got it.
And some people choose to only tie off when they're doing show quilts. I tie off all the time. All right, nice round bowl. Halfway back. And then just come around the corner and you just kiss the top of this and then extend out a little bit and you're into the next space. Nice round bowl. Halfway. Come around, sneak over the top here, and then you can extend it out on this side.
That is gorgeous.
Well, thank you. What do you think of my quilting?
I think.
Oh, you were talking about my quilt. Oh,
Yes,
darn it.
absolutely. I got to tell you, that's pretty awesome for this is the first time you've run this machine. Every machine feels different, as we all know.
It sure does. And I've recently switched out from a machine where Jamie and I met originally on an A1. I just became, I'm so excited, a Handy Quilter ambassador last June. So now I am learning all about Handy Quilter machines, and I absolutely love, 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 love these machines.
Awesome. You got to love the machine you use. Got to. Oh, that is beautiful, Sue.
So again, even though there's little wobbles here and there, what I love about the wobbles, Jamie, is it looks like a human did it, not a machine.
Yep.
All right, I'm just going to move this out of the way.
When you're used to the machine you've used, and it looks like a computer did it, and it's fabulous. That's amazing. And you don't have 50 cameras in your face and me leaning over your shoulder.
Well, there is that. All right, so I am just going to get this out of my way. So in this, if I were to have be done with this at this point, what I'd have is not a complete circle. My eye would see this as just scallops. So you can say, yes, I like that, and be done. Or you can hit this outer edge here more often with thread, and then your eye says, oh yes, that's a complete circle.
Got it.
So what's nice about circles is you just go around the horn again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill each of these V shapes with V's. So here we go. I'm going to come over the top, and I'm just going to go back and forth doing V shapes. And then sneak around. See how that just fills in nicely?
Perfect. It's totally giving it the illusion of a circle.
Yeah.
Love it.
And what's the hardest part about doing circles, Jamie?
Everything.
Well, when you grid it out, no. But the hardest part would be sewing an actual circle.
Yes.
So with these designs, I don't need circular rulers. Sorry, Jamie. The design itself visually creates the circle.
Well, and the optic eye automatically fills in and corrects things that it sees.
Thank you. All right, and then I'm almost done. And connect and tie off. So there's a medallion and a wreath.
Wonderful. Are you going to give us corners?
Absolutely.
Yay.
You just set it up here. You know what I like to use is an awl.
Or nothing?
It seems like it doesn't
cool.
degrade my thread,
like
but it grabs it.
You carry those?
No.
Okay.
I could though.
You should.
Next week.
All right.
All right, so now I would tie off and bury those, so it'd be nice and pretty. And now I'm going to do this corner. And again, I'm not touching the ditch on this.
Show me what the ditch, when you refer to
The ditch would be 1/8 of an inch out here. So the actual block, the piecing of the block, this whole design will float on the block by 1/8 of an inch on both sides. So I'm not hitting the ditch, which is great because if the quilting is just off a little bit,
Got it.
it'll still float and look beautiful.
Almost like when you lay in a computer design. You
Exactly.
don't wanna, you want to give the eye the delusion.
All right, so here we go. Also, what's nice about the circle liner is it puts in my my 45-degree diagonals, so I know exactly where the middle of this design is. All right, now I'm going to come around and actually do this a little bit backwards.
Oh,
Hook.
smart. That's a nice reason to pre-mark as well.
Yes. And done.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you do all 4 corners, and then we're going to come back and see the finished piece.
All right.
My dear friend, that is absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
What I'd like to do now is let's head over to the table, and I want to see some more quilts out for examples of this. This is fabulous.
Love
I
it.
love it. I love it, love it. There we are. Awesome. That was pretty amazing. Thank you, everybody. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do the portion of our show that a lot of you have been looking forward to, and that is talking about what product is available from Sue, and also looking at
Quilts.
show and tell. Quilts! Yay! Let me answer a few questions. First of all, the spiral needles that Sue was using to do the burying. Anyway, you can get those.
Makes you look good.
Makes it look good. That's true. You can get those directly through your website at.
They're not on my website. The inventor is a friend of mine, so she allows me to sell them, but not on my website. So if you just drop me an email, and Rich will post my email address up on the screen, or maybe not. It's
In the comments.
in the comments. That I'll ship them right out to you. They are easily put in an envelope and shipped to you.
Your email did come up on the video
Yep.
when you were using it.
The email was up on the video if you want to go back and watch, but Rich will always put her contact information down below the comments, especially for the re-watching. Now
We gonna give some prices away?
we are going to give some prizes away, but let me just keep going on that for just a second because I do want to touch base on this, and hopefully this is not speaking out of school. If you like the needles, and the needles are amazing, obviously, they're well loved, but the COVID changed everything, and you need to get them because who knows what the future holds. Okay, so
The price is going sky high on them, basically, but I have a supply of them at home, and I'll keep the pricing the same as pre-COVID until my supply runs out, and then I don't know what's going to happen. But just an aside, I don't use them. Please don't use them with a thimble, even though they're marketed as such. The tip will bend. I only use them for knot tying and burying.
And for our Ruth, the question is, do you regularly quilt with the fabric so tight on the frame, or you do tighten it for marking and then loosen it for quilting? Yes, we typically will tighten it for doing the marking, and then we will loosen it a little bit for quilting. And I think just because of the video, we didn't really loosen it.
Right.
Yeah. But
We
usually,
didn't want the bounce in the chalk.
we didn't want the bounce. Yep. So it's 3-click typically, and then 3-click back. So that's that. Now the other question we got, Rich, if you want to take us top down here, is how to sharpen the Bowen. Let me zoom in on that. Put that right here. So with these Bowens, of course, this guy pushes it out. That's in. We want to make sure to extend it. I'm gonna
Now they
leave-
can see the
Oh yeah, now you
white
can
background.
see the white background. And now we'll bring this over here. Thank you, my dear. I'm going to go in here. These are the sharpeners that come with the Bowen. You don't have to get them extra. They come with the Bowen. And you simply sharpen it this way. And so you can get this right down to a nice point that will go in there. And so it's a nice way to do it. Now the one thing is once you sharpen it with the guy out. And then what you want to do, once it's sharpened, is you want to go ahead, push in your guy, and then put him back in the sheath. So now he's ready to mark, okay? Because if you leave this too long, what'll happen as you mark is it will automatically break, and you don't want to keep doing that, okay? So I'll have that set over there. Now, as we were talking about that, let's go straight into prizes. That's right. Prizes.
Hey Siri, pick a random number between 1 and 47.
A random number between 1 and 47 is 6.
Number 6 is Janice Payne. How about another one of books?
Yay! All right, so I say Philharmonics. It is one of my 5 favorite books. I keep saying it again. Another one that I love. They get better every time I look at one. Table down or top down. There we go. So Philharmonics. Okay. And it is a beautiful book. The cover is beautiful. The designs are amazing. And we actually have a lot of these coming up for separate tutorials. Let me see. What was the name? Do you remember the name?
Janice Pink.
Yeah, Janice, are you here? Did you see her, Rich?
Yeah.
Yes. And you
Awesome.
you don't have this book yet, right?
Remember, there's a delay.
And I know there's a delay. I just want to make sure that we're not gifting you something you already have. So what do I want to avoid in chalk? Yes, polymer clay. So when you look at any of the chalk ingredients, when you get them, polymer clay.
If it says either of those 2 words,
avoid
not
them.
necessarily together, just anything with polymer, anything with clay, run away.
Janice said, yeah. Oh, she doesn't. Okay.
Yep. Okay, good. So this is good for her? Okay. And you've got that written down, Mr. Ritchie?
Yep, another one. Hey Siri, pick a random number between 1 and 47.
A random number between 1 and 47 is 27.
Woohoo!
27.
7. And we've got the new pins for Kathy Norcutt.
Oh, yay.
UK.
Okay, top down on these, because these babies are amazing. Yay. These are the magic pins, and I have to tell you, I am sold completely on I was on my corsage pins from Handy Quilter, which I still love, but also on my flower head pins. Thing is, the flower head pins, the tops always break off after a while because they do get older. These rock, and also they are heat resistant, and they are amazing. And there are 50 pins in here, and this is, I gotta say, one of the best new products that I have seen in years and years and years. They are on the website if anybody else wants to get any of these, and they are in different sizes for piecing, for applique, for all sorts of things, but these long arm pins are absolutely amazing. So I don't know, Rich, where's she from?
UK.
UK. So I don't even know yet if they've made it over there. So she may be hopefully one of the first to get them. They are exquisite.
Yeah, they're brand new here.
Yeah, they're brand new here. So there we go for that. Okay, so now let's start going into some show and tell for product. One of the things that I would like to start with, Sue, if that's okay, if we can kind of guide through that, is one of my favorite tools of yours is this. And if we go table down, Mr. Ritchie, will you talk a little bit about this guy right here? And I'm gonna...
Sure. This is called Sue's Gridliner Plus. This was born out of some frustration I had with similar tools on the market. There's a lot of grid drafting tools on the market, but this is made out of 1/8 inch acrylic, green so that you can see it on white. Thank you, Vanna. And the slits are wide enough so that you can get that larger chalk pencil in it when it's sharpened. And then a couple of things that I think are unique. I have horizontal lines through here so you can actually do an 8-inch grid, you know, in 8 inches without turning it. It is square. Most of the ones on the market are oblong, so you don't get as much marking. And then 2 things that are very unique. Down here are dotted lines. So most of the templates out in the market are 1/2 inch increments. With this tool and just shifting it to either an 1/8 or a 1/4, right there, shifting it between 1/8 and a 1/4 can get you quarters, 3/4, you know, all the increments that we've been missing for years, you can now do just by shifting back and forth. So this is wonderful for piano key design. And then this is the fun edge. This is the party edge right here. And on my sew outs, I've been just having so much fun with this edge. You'll see.
We'll see some examples, but also we just did another tutorial that's going to be shown during the very merry month of Sue, using that to make an amazing inner border. And I love, we've got the 45 degrees, you've got the
30
30 degrees,
and a
you've
60.
got 60.
Mhm.
So this is wonderful. You can use this in so many ways. Now, obviously, one of my favorite things right now with crosshatch, which I wouldn't have even taken on without considering this ruler, is simply doing on point. I bet it's just amazing. So using this on point behind my applique and some of my applique blocks, which I get a lot of, is really something that I'm excited for using this amazing, amazing tool.
Thank
Again,
you.
when I say amazing, amazing tool, I'm not just blowing smoke. This is an incredible tool. And of course, it comes in package with instruction and some basics. And you can use this for this comes in handy for almost any one of Sue's amazing books. So I'll set that aside.
Everybody's seen this one in action.
Yes. Circle liner. Yay. And then, of course, with the circle liner, as she explained in the video when we were doing the quilt out, there is also an extender. So you can take it from
11 and 11 and a half inches up to 24 and a half inches just with this.
And the one thing that I want you to remember, a lot of people may be thinking, okay, so this material is called?
Mylar.
Mylar. This is the Mylar material, and a lot of people may be thinking, but boy, that's kind of light over time. What's going to happen with that? And I said that in the video. This is
I'm gonna get
amazing.
rid of
It
this.
has held up so, it's held up perfect. And I've had mine for years and years and years when they first came out, and it holds up well. And here is the thing about the Mylar for this type of tool, which I feel is so much better than the plastic. I'm sorry, our ruler.
Acrylic?
Acrylic. Thank you. Then the acrylic is fabric. When you're trying to mark things on the frame, it's not flat, perfectly flat, because there's no stable table under it. And what this does is it shifts. It shifts with the fabric so that you're getting the perfect marks for this. It's one of the reasons I love this tool. Do not be shy about the Mylar. The Mylar actually makes it 10 times better. In this kit, I don't know if you mentioned it during the video, that little plastic guy that's underneath, is that in here?
The rubber disc?
Rubber
yes.
disc.
It's in all of our packaging.
As well as the pin
The cap.
and the plug. Is that correct? Yep.
Question from a sit-down quilter.
Okay. So, how do I use the circle tool if you're a sit-down quilter and the sandwich is not on a frame where you have plenty of space for the pin to poke through?
I would not, that's an excellent question, Wendy. I would have not put these products on the market had I not figured out first how to use it on a domestic and then how to use it on a long arm. So what you saw is how to load it on a long arm so you can design on the fly. But as you well know, we need to pre-mark our tops before we base them. And so this works well on a tabletop with just a thumbtack below it and a cap on the top. And you'll see that in a future
Yes.
tool tutorial.
Yep. So if you face on us, Rich, definitely that's something that I saw is that she's working with me on my sit-down quilting because it's been such a long time. But actually, these products work fantastic for the sit-down quilter because everything's pre-marked. So it's even, I would almost say it's a little easier.
It is a little
Yeah.
easier, although if you tend to change your mind midstream, then it's great to be on a long arm because then you can just plop it on and change your mind
Sure.
as you go.
Sure. Yeah, so great with both tools. You're just going to pre-mark, which you pretty much do with any of the sit-down quilting stuff anyways. So that, but now also you have some additional stuff that would go with these guys, Rich, if we have the table down.
And if you thought the circle liner looked easy to work with, I am so excited to show you this. Now this is, we call them the odd makers. So the circle liner again divides evenly in halves, quarters, eighths, and sixteenths. But what happens if you have, say, you want to make a 9-pointed star or even a 14-pointed star? Just shoot me now, because it involves math.
Right.
These act like newfangled protractors. It takes all the work out of it, and they simply spin, align, mark, done. So we have 3 of them in one package. Septa liner does 7 divisions of 7s, tri-liner, thirds, penta, fifths. So between the 2 products, these and the circle liner, we've got you covered for almost every number up through, not including prime numbers, they can't be divided, but you get the drift. It goes from divided in half up to 28 sections, so pretty
That's
darn
awesome.
cool.
That's way awesome. And for so many medallions, because medallions are so fresh right now,
Yeah.
and they're hot,
Yeah.
and they're necessary because it just gives the quilts such a good look with the quilting. So what I'd like to do is let's do a little bit of combination. Let's start with rulers. How
Okay.
about the let's see the canoes, because I
Okay.
love the canoes and I love the shape of the canoes. So we're going to show this quilt tabled down. So this beautiful quilt, all this border design, so many things, and even this was used with these beautiful canoe rulers. Which
So these are
genius.
sold in a set of 5. They go up from 1 inch to a 5-inch border. This design, all of these, or this design actually was done with my 2-inch, so that's this. And basically what you do to use these, if you're doing it as a border or a sashing, they automatically cant to a 45-degree angle, and there are 3 angles on each of these tutorials. Now that kind of looks like, you know, a horned beast of some sort, but I'll show you the reason for the horns. So say you want to work with these canoes. The first thing you do on a, say, 2-inch border is you'd chalk a line every 2 inches along the border. With this tool, it has an outer arc, an inner arc, and this travel arc is sometimes used for when I'm in trouble and I need to get from point A to B. That goes between these 2 arcs. So Jamie, if you can do just a little tighter, maybe they can see it better.
How's that, my
Excellent.
dear?
Oh, that's perfect. Okay, so say I want to do the outer arc, this shape here. That's my biggest. I point the ruler towards the direction I want to go, and instantly you see, hopefully, this 90-degree line here. That's for this one. So the bottom would go in the ditch, the top one would go along your chalked
Oh,
edge.
wow.
And it's got stops here for your foot. So you just start, stop, it's exactly 2 inches, turn it around, do the same, boom, got it. And so that's the same on, for every size, we've got 3 shapes. So this is outer, inner, travel.
And that's on each of these?
Correct.
Oh, that's amazing.
Correct. So
very
that's
cool.
to do it at a 45. But say you don't want to do a 45, like in this example. This is a circle cut into 6 pieces of pie, and I want to center my canoe. And the reason why I call them canoes, by the way, is I'm from Minnesota, the land of 10,000 lakes, so anytime I see an elongated pointed oval, I'm thinking canoe. So that's why I call it by that name. But I want to center this canoe on my line. So on each of these angles, you will see a line. So let me get it out of there it is. There's a line. There's a line. So that is the center of this arc. And that's why the horns are built up on this end, because the center was below the surface of the ruler. So
Awesome.
I give you centers as well, so you can do things like this. And then this example is just off-roading.
So now, and that's why we have the different sizes, right? Would you bring the different
Right.
sizes over?
All right.
So that's not just for small stuff in sashes and borders, but you can go as big as you want, which I love. This is...
And they
Yep.
can maybe be used for other purposes as well. When you
Yep.
just need a very slight angle, or an angle, that's different. Customers have done some pretty creative things outside the box that I'd ever have thought of with these rulers. And they're sold as a set.
Yeah. Oh, other quilters come up with a million different ways to use our rulers. That's what I love. Love, love, love. And then also now, yep, so your straight rulers. I'd like to show people your straight rulers because, you know, we have the 45-degree handle, of course, on our rulers. And one of the things that every once in a while we get is a lot of people will say, boy, that's not right for my wrist. It's right for some people's wrists. It's not right for everybody's. One ruler does not fit all. Sometimes that 90-degree is perfect. And so that's something that I want to say. It's just, it just depends. I always say these are our tools and you want to try all the tools, one of each tool to see, okay, which one works best for me. And I love this wonderful handle. Pardon me? There you go. So now you can see, of course, it's got these wonderful 45-degree marks, both directions. And of course it comes in, do you have 3 different sizes?
3 different sizes,
Okay.
and also people with smaller hands tend to like that it narrows out here. I have very large hands, so when I'm working with a ruler, I pick it up like this, and I've got just perfect control. I've got my hands on the fabric, hands on the ruler, and I can go. But also with having this handle offset like I have it on the ruler, it's so that you can also do this. So the handle also becomes a usable arc.
A curve and an arc. How beautiful. Nice. That is really cool. And especially this one. This would be cool for even just continuous curve. If you were doing a show quilt that wanted some smaller continuous curve, that would be great to kind of travel with that. That's a genius
And
idea.
domestic people, you can use both of these rulers. The height I kept shallow enough so that it'll work on most machines to get under the machine itself, and you can use that. This one, not so much.
Beautiful.
And then you also notice that I've got dots. It looks like it has chicken
dots.
pox.
Yeah.
This is something that Tom and I came up with. It is a 3M product. It comes in a roll, so we sit and hand punch all these out because you can't see through them. But it's a 3M adhesive, so it is a strong bite. But they're made out of little rubber fingers, so they won't degrade your fabric. But I like, sometimes I like my rulers with them on, sometimes not, and I'm cheap, as we mentioned before. So this is my hack. I put these on Invisigrip, and now they're migratory. So
Oh, cool.
they're, when I want them on, I on and off, and they really have a lot of, I mean, they're not going
Staying
to go.
power.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Nice. Nice. Another option for keeping rulers stable, and we need all the options for that we can get. And now, no ruler set should be without curves, right? Like I always tell people, gotta have curves. Get some curves out there.
I got curves, but
We all got curves. Spin them around. Okay. Yummy. And I love these. And again, same handle. So you've got that wonderful short 90-degree handle. And again, you almost get 2 bangs for your buck. You get this wonderful arc over here, and then you also get this curve here, so you can get, you know, double duty. And as usual, because I have to say Sue and I use the same ruler maker who we love, love, love.
We sure
we
do.
love our Michelle Petterini. She is genius in that the printed marks here match the actual quilted mark as you move through, so that way you can see as you line those up. And these are absolutely awesome. Now I will say that along with these and along with the these sideways guys here, and I would say also along with the canoes, you have the little tool that you can stick your pencil in to pre-mark
right.
as well. And I am trying to talk you into, and I think I have you talked into, coming out with a set of composer type rulers so that they can use those to get the exact mark if they want to go ahead and pre-mark the whole design, which I think is really a way to go. Because so many of us, if you want to face on us, Rich, we really do. We want, when we're doing curves, we want when we're doing things like with the canoe type tools, It's nice to have the tool there. It's nice to have the pencil thing. Those are amazing. But I love to have the actual tool. Number one, because I travel with my drawing bag all the time, because I love to quilt on paper when I am traveling or when I'm sitting in the morning having my coffee or whatever. I do not want to have my heavy quilting tools when I'm auditioning. What am I going to be doing with things that are coming up? So you're going to be doing
And the handle
drawing
would be
tools?
in the way too if you're, I draw a
Absolutely.
lot on a plane.
Yep. So you're going to be doing the
We'll see.
You will do them. I will
Maybe
talk you into
comments
that.
would help me out on that.
Yeah, I think the drawing rulers are wonderful. Oh, okay.
Fireworks.
All right, here we go. Another prize.
Hey Siri, pick a random number between 1 and 47.
A random number between 1 and 47 is 15.
Number 15, Jamie Della Monagle.
Della!
We got
Yay!
Sue's newest book for her, right?
Yes.
Yep, I love my Della. My sweet, patient Della. So, number one, caffeinated quilting. Della, are you here, my dear? Not sure.
I don't know if she signed on here. I know she was signed on through Patreon,
Okay.
which she wouldn't, but she was, yes.
She was here. Okay. So, well, anyway, she's got the caffeinated quilting, so hopefully she doesn't already have that. And if she does, well, we'll make another arrangement. But caffeinated quilting.
Coffee with Jamie.
Coffee with Jamie, caffeinated quilting, and this is your brand new.
Brand new.
This is, and they're going to see some samples of this type of stuff on quilts. This is exquisite.
Let's get one more.
Okay, let's
Hey,
do another
Siri,
one.
Choose a random number between 1 and 47.
A random number between 1 and 47 is 31.
Susan Bishop, and don't you have the thread over there?
We sure
Oh,
do.
yes. Cairo. And this is Cairo thread, and I'll tell you what, I have been using this on my long arm, but I still use, as a lot of you know, with this on my long arm, I'm still going to be using my 40 weight poly in the bobbin. This is 100% cotton. It is Egyptian cotton. It is fabulous, but here is what this is used for me. This is what I'm doing all my piecing with right now. I absolutely love this for piecing. I do not use little spools with my sewing machine anymore. I now get and I don't have one here. I think I moved them all downstairs for our classroom for piecing. But one of the tall thread stands, I put it in that, and then it lasts so much longer. It's so much price efficient.
Rich loves it.
Yeah, and Rich loves it because it's less expensive for him to keep buying me thread, and it works great for piecing. I absolutely love this for piecing, bobbin and top. And this is, of course, made by the Filtech company, and it's exquisite for piecing. So there we go. For our cotton purists. Actually, it's the first time that I've used cotton thread for anything in a long time, and I love it. I love it just as much as I loved the King Tut. So I'm pretty happy there.
We do carry it in just a few colors.
Yep, we got it in a few colors, and we're getting more colors of that all the time. And it's a nice, affordable thread at the high quality that the expensive thread is at. That's why I love it. Okay, so what I'd like to do now is let's go into some show and tell.
Yay!
So let's start off with a few quilts.
Do you want another Jamie story?
Oh my gosh, here we go.
When Jamie visited my house, I think for the second time, he came and taught some classes locally. I had just finished this quilt,
Top down.
and wouldn't you know, this is a
Beautiful.
Sharon Chamber design, and it's also, I did this in one of Sharon's classes, this top, and this was a technique of hers. Isn't that amazing?
The
It's
binding
like this.
is, I love her
And
binding.
she does have a tutorial on YouTube on how to do this binding. But I thought, you know, I've got the block. It's a random block. Maybe I'll do everything I've never done before on this one block. So I did this border. First time I had done
Piping?
piping in the binding, and then there's like 11 different free motion quilting designs on here, and I thought I was going to get the next Academy Quilting Award. You know, this was going to be my star on the Walk of
Gorgeous.
Fame.
It is delicious.
All I have to do is put it in a show. And Jamie walks in, and I went, Jamie, look at this. Is this not brilliant what I did? You know, congratulate me. You're always good with congratulations.
And this is beautiful on top.
And the first thing he does, no kidding, is flip it over. And he looks at the back and he goes, yeah, that's not going to enter it. That's not going to win a thing. Don't enter that.
Right.
My first thought was, oh my gosh, judges,
gosh.
look at the back.
Yep,
I'm
yep.
such a newbie. So anyway,
So face on for me, Rich. So because this is an important point where we talk about this, because this is educational as well. Now it hurts.
it wasn't education for
Looking
me,
back
let me
and
tell you.
thinking, no, I didn't say it mean though. You know, it was just like.
Oh, you never are mean.
I'm never mean. But one of my thoughts was, you know, so often
Save me from the heartache.
new quilters will enter quilts, and it's great to enter quilts. But when people say, now I want an honest critique, it's like, okay, we have to learn as fellow long armors not to be icky, but to be honest and clear. Because we don't want people to have that heartbreak, because that heartbreak can make us not want to enter another quilt. And I also know how sensitive you are, right?
Very,
So
very.
very sensitive.
And I mean, I think it's ridiculous now, but you know, at quilt shows, you see the quilts hanging.
Yep.
Who looks at the back?
Right.
You know, so I thought everything was just front on.
Yep.
But this was done on my little Bernina, and now I use it as a teaching example for tension, because now I know about tension. It's not something, you know,
Top
that
down?
you take an Excedrin for. It's thread has it too. And
And
so
it's beautiful work. It's just the tension.
it's just
It's
not
a little
prize winning.
loose on the back. And what would happen is she would have gotten some comments from a judge, and being a first-time enterer, that can gut you. That can really gut you. And so my whole point of that was the work is exquisite. The top work is exquisite. And the backing work, we're going to want to work a little bit more on the tension, which she, frankly, her tension is better than mine most of the time now.
But here's the point. On the long arm, of course, we're constantly tweaking the tension. But on domestic machines, it's not always taught to constantly look at the back. Your tension can change even within a spiral. It's not a knob anymore on your machine. It's actually the speed at which you go into that curve
Face on.
that'll cause eyelashing or
Yes.
not. And
Absolutely.
so it's a good example
It's a
of
good example.
not
That's a good example.
not
Hey,
a
I'd
prize
rather-
winner.
Somebody that loves you to make you cry is a little bit better than
Absolutely.
some cranky old judge. Okay, so now look at these. Okay, top down again, Mr. Ritchie. We're gonna tighten this or take that out. Look at that. That is just plain fun. And you did these a long time ago. I love.
No, actually, this was
this fairly new?
new as of 6 months ago, maybe,
Okay.
on my new Capri.
Yay.
Just
So this
kind of
is sit
testing
down.
out the Capri.
Yep.
This is an older version of that, so just a difference in the thread. So just kind of fun.
That is very fun. And see, little pieces like this as samples just to explore is great. And look at that. I am in love with that. And I love this leaf, which actually we have a tutorial on something very similar
Yes, we
coming
do.
up on that. Now, one of the other things that I want to, say about Sue is Sue has amazing bindings, and she has some really original bindings, and she has a binding class that she teaches. I'm trying to talk her into doing it for Zoom because I want to take the class. But this is wonderful inner border here. But
And that's
this-
just a flap of fabric. That's a flange.
Sure.
So how easy is that? Just a flap.
Easy peasy. And this one, I love. Let me go in on that.
This
I
one
want
is
them to
kind
see
of
that.
crazyville here. It's an 1/8 of an inch showing 45 degree, so it's mitered. And then these little dots are actually baby rickrack behind it. So yeah, this
I
is
love
what we
it.
do in Minnesota over the long winters.
I love it.
It's a little
love it.
crazy.
And then it's balanced because it's done on both sides. So we've got corner to corner. And even if you did it on all four corners, how great is that? So that's a couple more examples. Ooh, yummy. Now we're getting into
Philharmonics.
the Philharmonics book. Now look at this sample. I want to show you this before we go into the book. because this is, and by the way, this is going to actually be a project, is it not?
It is. I'm developing a pattern finally off of this. It's got 26 of my patterns on there. The inner ring is pebble work, edge to edge. This ring here is grid work. These are edge to edge. But I'm reserving the pattern for, I'll be teaching at Empty Spools in California, and it'll be exclusive to them until after the class, and then it'll be available to everybody. But this is one of the reasons why I chose this size of ruler, because it maps to these curves.
Wonderful. And then, of course, the grids are done with your grid ruler, is that correct?
At the time I did this, I didn't have a grid work. I had something similar, but not that one.
Yep, but now it'll be done
Now
with that,
it'll-
I would
yep,
think. So
yep.
again, this is another way where these tools are absolutely something you want to have
And
in your
actually,
toolbox.
this was done on my long arm, and this is a 1/2-inch grid scale. Would I recommend that to people? Probably not. But it was. I had heard the comment so often that the voice. Long armers can't do small things and on a big machine, and the opposite is true for domestic people. They can't do big things. So this was my yes, you can. So this was all done on my long arm 1/2-inch grid scale.
And something that this was not intended to show, because this is actually radiating lines on a curve. But I do want to share, because I run into this a lot of times. People will ask me how to do this. And I find now with this ruler, this would be so much easier. Not so much if it were radiating curvature lines, but definitely if I had divided this quilt, or if you had divided this and you were doing straight piano keys, using so that you could get the quarters and the eighths and that sort of thing. That's where this would
You can do
have come in
so many
perfect.
interesting patterns too
Yeah.
with this, just by shifting the ruler with
Delicious.
piano keys. So this is the book,
Delicious.
and as I mentioned, we've got these cards that go with the book. It's a separate purchase, but these cards, actually, my dear husband figured out all the math for circular designs, and there are some in here, to proportionately scale those designs up and down. But I'm just going to do this because that would be fun to do. So this is a background design book. So the first 2 books are sashing, and then sashing in the round, as you saw in the video. And now this is my edge to edge stuff. So there's some
Yummy.
free motion. Oh, that's hidden Mickeys. And then this is some grid work. Lots of grids.
Love.
And that one is actually digitized and available on quiltables.com. And then we get into circular designs.
Oh, can I? I'm
sure.
sorry, because I need to see some of this candy. I'm loving scallops, but these flowers on the end just rock my world.
Yeah,
And the
they're
way
very
that you
similar
do
to
'em.
what we were sewing out the
Yeah.
other day.
Yeah,
And then circles.
we'll be doing that.
Yep.
Yeah, we've
Yep.
got a tutorial coming up for that.
Actually, let's give them a little preview. This is clamshells, circular clamshells. What?
Awesome.
What?
Wait till you see how easy it is to go there.
Piece of cake.
Yep.
And then circles. Lots of circles.
So again, this is the Philharmonics, and you want to make sure again to get the Philharmonics circle sizer. And like she said, what it does is it takes the size of the book. Let me go down, because this is important, because I know some of you will think, well, why would I want to go ahead and get that little piece of paper? And you can't see it, but this is red. This is the size that's the example in the book. But what it does, because you have a division of different size circles to do the one design.
So separate math for each circle.
Yep, separate map for each circle, and they figured it all out up to 12-inch. For Mimsy, we did Mimsy the other day. We're going to be doing that in a tutorial coming up. So yes, this is well worth the
$6.50.
yeah, $6.50. Please, I've spent worse on a bad burger. There we go. Now, let's see some examples. These are some of the fillers, is that correct?
Yeah, we need top down again.
Top down.
And I don't think that's good.
Let's take it out a little bit because I want them to see the frame too. The frames are amazing. Look at these. And think of blocks, folks. Not just as filler behind applique, which is of course also what you can do these as, but also just as block designs, because we get so many wonderful block design, plain blocks now. Hand dyeds have become so popular. The modern quilts with the backgrounds, with what am I going to do in there? I mean, these are the places where you can use these, and you can see it in contrasting color, how beautiful it is, even with a stark contrasting thread.
And what I love about this design and these colors are the diamonds show up, and there's your puff, so you get this cool secondary texture.
Yep, and I always keep looking at this and thinking micro work, micro work, micro work, micro. I'm going to go and do micro work on some of that. That's awesome. And then, of course, some of her wonderful fillers. I love this. This flower makes me happy.
And these are all based on this design, which I think I've invented it. I haven't seen any other quilter doing it. It's called Pasta Pot. And by just varying the size, you can do different fills with it, as I'm shown here. And this is an example of me using the sine wave edge on my grid marker to do some cool piano key designs.
Awesome. Yay. This is one of the ones that I love. Love it, love it. I love the color too. This is one of my
Easy to
favorite
do
colors.
and very traditional looking.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Ooh, and you know this, I may just show this because this, again, these beautiful clamshells with this wonderful flower halfway up there, that just makes me happy.
And again,
And the border, I cannot wait for them to see you do the border. And of course, this is just fun. Look at that. I mean, that's just beyond fun. That's exquisite. Even on point, that would be amazing. Wow. Yummy.
then this is a series of 3 designs. They're all called Aztec Lace in the book. This is Aztec Lace 1. And I thought this was unique. A lot of times grid work is, every grid is filled. Rarely do you see every other grid.
Nice
So
checkerboarding.
Yep.
I love
so
it.
I thought that would be good. This is the same design, but now every grid is filled in, and you get this cool puff of the canoe shapes here.
And the feel of it. Run your hand. When you run your hand across something like that on a quilt, it just feels incredible. And that's what quilts are for, I think, to feel and to run those hands across.
I heard this this phrase that has always stuck with me. Fabric is the first and the last thing you touch in life.
Yeah. Oh, that's deep. That's
I went deep.
heartbreaking deep.
And then this one is this design, and all I did was, when I come back around, this is all continuous, so where you start, you come back around to it, so it's all one thread. And then I stitched out the grid, and then I stitched to either side of the grid to fill this up. So this one, you see kind of the thread buildup creates a pop, where this, it's the open canoes shapes that, or melon shapes that create the pop, and then here's the checkerboard.
And let me say, every one of these designs are literally step by step by step. Step 1, she does not leave steps out like some people do, where you're like, okay, how'd they get here from there? Every one of these, and we're only touching on a very few designs of what are in the book.
And then there's a nice circular design done pretty much like you saw in the video. Just takes a different different shapes or different sizes of concentric circles for guidelines.
Square peg, round hole.
And then this is just an example of, what do you do with a circle? I don't have a square. Well, this is combining 2 patterns that are in Philharmonics. This is Tsunami and this is Circle Dance. So a background grid with a circular grid.
Oh, how cool, the circle. I didn't see the circle. You think continuous curve, and then it's like No, there's something different.
That's
and
what
it's
you
that
get when you
beautiful
take
circle.
out the intersecting lines.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Ooh, and let me go in because they can't see that. Sorry. Yeah, come on. Come on. Because you got to see that. See the magic? Look at that little circle right there. And other than marking with that wonderful tool of yours, no rulers.
And this was done on my domestic machine.
Yep.
And then this binding, I think, is mine. I've never seen anybody else do it, so I'll claim it as, we have to name it, I don't know. Think of a name for me. But this is
I love it.
like a split binding. So I have a color. It's all on the binding strip, just pieced in there. And I go over how to do that in my binding class.
Awesome. Okay.
So at the point where I met Jamie, this was about the only type of wreath that quilters were doing. It's beautiful, but it's kind of hard to teach. You got to just kind of work with it to figure it out. So that's one of the reasons why I came up with this book, and you've seen how easy it is to do these circular designs, but I'm just going to
Flip through,
do
please.
the old flip. So this is that one template that we showed you. It's a master template for all of the designs in here, but we've got a gallery of combination designs here, and now we've got some wreath shapes, so you can mix and match like garanimals, and then some medallions. So in the medallions, I'll show you step by step how to do this sashing. I'll show you the corner turn because that's usually the elephant in the room.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the next page, we'll spin it. So I'm just using that center medallion wedge, how to fill up the wedge, and then I do it both clockwise and mirrored, so you get such
Love it.
different,
Totally different
shapes. Right. So that's that. I do not reuse the sashing design from book 1. These are all new sashing designs, so that should be familiar to you now because we did that just on the video, but I want to show you that's what it looks like mirrored.
Yummy. Totally different.
So here's just a couple more sew outs of things. So this, oh good, it fits.
Yay.
So this is what we did in the video here with a different sashing in the middle. So you can mix and match. This is all one. This is, again, different sashing. But this is what it looks like, the same designs with corners. So again, this is the same as this. Looks different, doesn't it? Looks totally different, just with corners on them. So again, that is book 2.
That's awesome. Thank you. Yummy. Okay. I know this designer.
You know this lady.
Yeah,
She's
Deb
made of awesome.
Karasik. She's awesome. Made me love paper piecing.
Yes.
Let's
I think
find
she
that out.
preceded Judy Niemeyer
Yeah,
and gave us
I
a
love
whole lot
it.
of funk.
I love this style.
So in 2014,
Yep.
I was privileged and very honored to be asked to quilt this magnificent design for an upcoming book that she had in the pipeline. And then something happened and the book was never produced. But I was just thrilled to work with someone
So I want to
of the caliber of Deb
Sure.
Karasik.
I want to show them the front,
Okay,
and then what I'd like to do is, because then they can really get an idea
of the back.
of the back and of the quilting texture that you're using. Look at that. Yummy. Yum, yum.
And the reason why I brought this in addition to being just an amazing design, but it launched me onto a whole new path of designing in my life where one simple shape, and the shape is it's kind of an S curve, and well, can't really show it to you. That's upside down and backwards. But in my book, I'll show you the shape. It's this shape here.
Oh, cool.
Very, very simple shape. But wow, can you ever manipulate this shape into many other different grid shapes? So a block, that's a grid. A triangle, that can be a grid. The shapes that are on most quilts out there, most normal quilts, has blocks and borders and things like that. And I was able to manipulate that shape in all sorts of different ways, repeating throughout the back of this, which again launched the idea, wow, one and done,
Right.
All I need to know is one simple sashing, one simple shape, and look at all I can do. And it's the same shape, same shape, same shape.
Ooh.
So I've got some sew outs of there, but the book contains 2 of those shapes. This I consider it to be a little bit more traditional, and then the other shape is kind of more spiky, and so I think that works well as a more modern look. But anyway, thank you,
So
Deb.
this is taking this from single,
To
and then this is to mirrored.
Yeah.
Look at the difference. Look at that. Yum. Okay.
again, just one shape. So based upon that and what I just said, here's some sew outs. So this is, I'm going to start with the blue because we were just talking about that shape. So this, see the shape in here? And if you rotate it, why don't I have that sample? Darn, don't have it. Okay, rotate it and it's a totally different look. Same shape, and same shape. Same shape. And then I've even echoed this in the bases of the featherwork, same shape. So can you see how a quilt would be so homogeneous, because everything goes together like granimals, because you're utilizing the same shape over and over and over again, just in different configurations.
Sorry, I'm supposed to do this, not thumbs up. That's
So
beautiful.
the second half of the book is another shape. Let me just show them the base shape. Where'd Ed go?
Where did Ed go? Ed,
Ed.
where are you?
All right. Well,
Oh, there he is.
okay. So this is that shape. If you live on the East Coast, you put a dot there and you got a puffin. So this shape creates, again, so this sew out,
Wow.
I've got a sashing design. If I mirror it, now I have a beautiful border, and look at what it can do within a block. So again, it's just morphing this singular shape into the many shapes that we run into as quilters. So my take is that with one shape you can do medium custom work,
Yes.
maybe even push it to a little higher custom
High-end
work.
custom. Oh, I'd call this high-end custom. In a block, this would be exquisite.
Okay.
For a show quilt, absolutely.
So what I've done here is just shown some examples of these combinations, like this, same shape,
Granimals.
but just, twisting it around. So there's a circular design that's in the book with a
Look at
sashing
that.
design.
Love the
See
movement.
this shape?
That's awesome.
Same shape, same shape.
Yep. And even this floated in the background of a modern quilt.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
And again, I'm getting out of, this is my hack, not having to actually sew that circle.
Right.
Same shape, isn't that interesting? So all of these go together because again, at the base, I've got this same pointed shape. So here in the corners,
I love this block. This is the one I wanted us to do. I still want us to do.
same shape.
Yep. Yep. Oh, look at that. That's cool.
And I've got that as also a block design,
Look at that.
or a grid design rather,
the
and then
filler, there's
you
my
can
magic.
you can have some fun doing that.
Yum.
All right.
Actually, I
So
want to tighten in on that because I know a lot of you are filler happy. Some of you are not. I get it. It can be a disease.
I'm going to reach over you briefly. And I just found that other blue one. So this is going back to the first shape that we looked at. But now, just by rotating that grid just a little bit, look at it's the same shape. But can you see how both of those would be on a quilt, but they wouldn't look the same?
More formal, more adventuresome, and just more fun.
I love the secondary shapes that this creates. Look at those beautiful diamonds.
This is formal, and it hits me in all my formal places.
And then this has got a lot of movement.
But that hits me in like fun.
And you've
kinda
only
just wanna
had to
have fun.
learn,
Yep, one thing.
1 inch of design.
Yep, absolutely.
And then this is another combination of shapes using the same shape.
Gorgeous.
So that's that book. And then the last in the long line, we're getting a little long-winded, is, why don't we just leave that as a background, huh?
And they can watch it as parts, so that's.
So
we're all
this
good.
is from my new book,
Caffeinated,
Caffeinated.
quilted.
Why am I calling it caffeinated? Because I love pebble work, so I was dinging around with pebbles the other day, and I just thought, this pebble looks like a coffee bean. And then I started to do some leaf shapes, and I went, tea leaves and coffee beans. What else have I got? So it's actually based on 3 shapes: a coffee bean, a tea leaf, and that aromatic swirl that
Oh
you get
my
off of your
gosh.
favorite hot mug.
Wow. Look at that. I got to do a little bit of a flip through here. That's cool. That's cool.
And
see, there's
notice the
nothing.
names. My naming committee
Mocha swirl.
went a little wild on these.
Dolce. Dolce?
Dolce.
Dolce. Oh, I love that. Look at that. Look at the textures. See what I'm talking about here, folks? This is not just, I'm going to show you this is.
Did you like this one?
Magic.
Rolling in the steep. People get the
yeah.
pun.
And yes.
Adele. Okay.
Yep.
Very good.
Yeah. And the shape. It's like a beautiful leaf ice cream cone combination. And I love it. Oh, that's pretty floral. And that twisted rope, robusta, rainflower. See, Java Jive. That's kind of similar to the magic one that we're gonna show coming up. Oh, these are amazing. And I mean, I'm skipping. Ooh, I gotta show my favorite because I made her do this the other day. We're gonna have a draw out of that in an upcoming episode here. We've got a lot of upcoming stuff here.
So let's show them
Amazing.
some sew
Let's
outs.
show them some sew outs.
Just put
Make
her
'em
down.
happy.
Most of these were done, if you want to know, on my new Capri. I love, 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 love this new Capri from Handy Quilter. So don't those look like little owls?
Yes, they
shapes?
do.
So I'm owly without my coffee.
Love that. Oh, this one of my favorites. Yep. Now this is in the book.
That's in the book.
Yep.
Everything's in the book.
Everything is in the book.
Actually, this is my new logo also.
And the feather, the hook feather, which I, of course, love. That is gorgeous. Okay.
Yeah.
So, if you want to face on us, Mr. Ritchie, you rock my world, my dear.
Oh.
You totally rock my
Wow.
world. That's
Haven't heard that
amazing.
in a long
I love
time.
you so much. You have such
From humble
amazing-
beginnings, you and I. huh?
Amazing. Yeah, we've been together a while here.
Yeah, so thanks for not giving up on me
Never. Oh, please.
and for pushing.
I've learned so much. So I hope everybody has enjoyed this. Let's see. How are we doing?
Questions?
Oh,
Questions?
no questions. Just happy joy. Okay. So what we'll probably do, remember, if you had to go away or if you just came in late, what we're going to do is Rich is going to do the editing stuff. And then what we'll do is we will reload this up. And then what we'll probably do, because we did go over a ways, is, Rich, are you going to leave this as one, or are you going to split it in two when we come back to the table? How
Hi,
are you
Wendy.
going to do this? Hey, Wendy.
A fellow Minnesotan. Woohoo!
Will you have a booth?
No. I taught at the virtual one last year, and so chances are I won't teach at my home show again. What an honor to teach at my home show. But I probably won't teach there again for 3-4 years. But
Got
put
it.
in a good word for me, would you? And maybe I can get back sooner.
Yep, yep. But you'll always be online.
Yes.
Yep. And yep, there we go. Okay, so Rich, what'd you say?
Sue's email for video, needles is on the video, and we'll put it in the YouTube comments.
Yep.
And I can put it in the Patreon. No,
Yep,
it'll be
we'll put it in
one
the Patreon.
video. On
One
Patreon.
video. So you'll just kind of have to watch it, pause, take a break, watch the rest. And thank you for letting us go a long time, but I think we needed to, because I wanted to show you a bunch of, and we still haven't scratched the surface. I'm telling you, this is barely up. How do you order the Canoe Rulers? That's going to be
SueHeinz.com.
SueHeinz.com. And it's Heinz like,
Ketchup.
yep,
H-E-I-N-Z.
yep. Catch up with Sue at SueHeinz.com.
And my husband was born in 57. Is that not funny or what?
Oh, that is wild. Oh, cool. Awesome. All right, everybody.
You got an invitation to come to the UK.
Yay!
I've
Gotta
been
come to
hoping
you,
for
huh?
that.
We were talking about that before the show, actually.
God bless you, whoever you are.
That is Lorraine, I believe. Yeah, that would be Lorraine. So, all right, everybody. Thank you so much for sticking with us today and taking the time. We know that your time is valuable. We love you all very, very much. You know that.
And this guy is made of awesome.
well,
you
that's
all know
very
that.
Sweet. Ditto. And
Yes.
Yes. Yep. Okay. Awesome. You pretty much ship pretty universal.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep,
So
I've
you
shipped
go
all
there.
over the world.
If they're willing to pay for shipping, you'll do it.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. All right, everybody. Have an amazing Saturday. Again, this will be up again. And remember, it is the very merry month of Sue. So over the next few months, we're going to be popping in a ton of different tutorials with my dear friend Sue,
Thank you.
along with some of my stuff. So we'll see everybody down the road. Take care of yourself, take care of each other, and know you're loved. Bye, everybody. Awesome.